This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Full classroom return this week. I'll tell you what the education minister is saying. With COVID-19 cases down, the government considering relaxing measures. And in our discussion, we're looking at some interesting developments in the UK over the past few weeks, the lessons we can learn about what's happened there, here in the Bahamas. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. 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 Wake up, wake up. Wake up.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Monday, February 7th, 2022. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Pamela Musgrove will be joining us. Also this morning, more of what's making news throughout the country in Morning Blend business as well. Quite a lot to talk about in our business news roundup. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while you're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, as COVID numbers continue to decline over the weekend, Minister of Education Glenys Hannah Martin says that plans are underway to begin the rollout of full face-to-face learning this week. She told the National Guardian that the policy decision has been taken that all schools will go 100% fully face-to-face, and the rollout will begin this week on a school-by-school basis. Hannah Martin says committees have been formed at each school and include union members, and that these will ensure that the mandated protocols are in place. She says, quote, in exceptional cases, which will include some schools in New Providence, there might be some issues. For example, T.A. Thompson. Hannah Martin said T.A. Thompson Junior High continues to be challenged by major infrastructural issues that were discovered just weeks ago. She said the necessary works will take about 12 weeks to complete. Hannah Martin also saying the teachers are going through the public services vetting process, but that once it's finished, the Patrick J. Bethel High School should be able to transition to a hybrid program and hopefully to face-to-face shortly after. That's on Abaco. That school is being delayed due to a teacher shortage. The government is considering relaxing restrictions as COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations continue to decline, according to Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville. He says as the numbers go down, the government is not in the business of trying to control people's behavior. He said the government will allow more events once cases and hospitalizations continue to decrease. The current restrictions limit indoor events to 20 people, outdoor events to 30, and prevent the presence of an urn or casket in a church or other religious facility. The attendance for funerals and weddings is also limited to 33% of the occupancy of the facility where they are being held. More than 8,700 new cases were confirmed between December 20th and January 20th, December 20th last year. Hospitalizations jumped from 21 to 158 during that time. The number of cases confirmed during the 1 month period was more than 16 times what was confirmed 1 month prior. In the last 2 weeks, though, there's been a decline in cases, 13 confirmed on February 5th, 45 on February 4th, 35 on February 3rd. Hospitalizations now stand at 69. The fluctuation in hospitalizations has led the government to periodically tighten and relax restrictions since the first case was confirmed in the country in March 2020. Former Disaster Reconstruction Authority Managing Director Catherine Smith is suing the government for more than $400,000 for breach of contract after she was terminated from the role last year. A writ of summons, which was dated December 21st, 2021, but only recently served, states that Smith's employment contract went into effect on December 3rd, 2019, and was due to expire on November 30th, 2023. Under the terms of that agreement, the contract, the DRA agreed to pay Smith an annual salary of $110,000 in monthly installments of $9,166.66, and an annual housing allowance of $30,000 in monthly installments of $2,500. It also agreed to an annual duty allowance of $15,000 in monthly installments of $1,250 and monthly fuel allowance of $250. At the end of that contract, Smith was entitled to receive a gratuity of 15% of the sum received under the contract. While she was required to give 6 months' notice of her intent to terminate the contract prior to the expiration, the contract made no provision for the DRA to terminate the contract before the expiration. And after it was revealed that fiscal performance had dramatically improved in the first half of the fiscal year, opposition leader Michael Pintard said the government is taking credit for the work of the Minutes administration. Pintard saying last week that he, quote, believes the public is smart enough to know what the efforts of this present administration have produced, and the public is smart enough to know what was in train prior to the election. Pintard said, quote, it's unfortunate that the government seeks to take credit for work that had already been completed or was in train. Government is continuous, so we ought to be measured in what we say to acknowledge what past administrations have contributed, and then, of course, to take credit for what you've put in place. And a policeman testified that his wife's alleged lover placed him in a cell after a domestic dispute over her reported affair. Prosecutors say Sergeant Omar Nottage punched and choked the woman at her father's house in Matthewtown, Ottawa, on April 14th, 2021. The encounter reportedly left Mrs. Nottage with bruises on the neck and scratches about her body. The dispute also reportedly arose after Nottage confronted his wife about lying about taking early morning walks with Superintendent Walter Henderson, who was his boss. Overseas, it's a pattern becoming all too common again in West Africa. Mutinous soldiers detaining a president, then seizing control of the state broadcaster to announce they've taken over the country. International condemnation quickly follows, but the junta remains in power. West Africa's new wave of coups, kicking off in Mali in 2020, followed by another in Guinea the following year, then Burkina Faso late last month. Just a week later, gunmen also tried to overthrow the president of Guinea-Bissau in a machine gun attack that lasted hours but failed. Military power grabs are nothing new in the region. There have been nearly 100 in West Africa since 1946, but they dropped off over the past decade. Now the regional body known as ECOWAS is grappling with how to bring about a return to democracy in 3 of its 15 member states, where juntas have seized power in the last 18 months. The new spike in power grabs comes as the Sahel, the vast region south of the Sahara Desert, faces growing violence from Islamic extremists, which in turn has caused people to turn against elected governments in both Mali and Burkina Faso. Neighboring Niger, hard hit by Islamic insurgents, has also been vulnerable. Security forces stopped a coup attempt there last year. And international efforts to defuse the standoff over Ukraine intensifying today, with French President Emmanuel Macron set to hold talks in Moscow, and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Washington to coordinate policies as fears of a Russian invasion mount. The concentration of an estimated 100,000 Russian troops near Ukraine has fueled Western worries that it heralds a positive offensive or possible offensive. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan warning Sunday that Russia could invade Ukraine any day, triggering a conflict that would come at an enormous human cost, his words. Russia has denied any plans to attack its neighbor, but is urging the U.S. and its allies to bar Ukraine and other ex-Soviet nations from joining NATO, halt weapons deployments there, and roll back NATO forces from Eastern Europe. Washington and NATO have rejected the demands. Macron, who's set to meet in the Kremlin with Russian President Vladimir Putin before visiting Ukraine Tuesday, said last week that his priority is dialogue with Russia and de-escalation. In sports, amidst a threatening shutdown from the COVID police on Saturday, the B3A's star performance time trials was allowed to continue at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium. And BAME youngsters turned in exceptional performances. Keyshawn Strachan broke his own national record in the men's javelin, and several athletes were able to qualify for the 2022 Carifta Games. Strachan improved on his Carifta qualifying distance in the under-20 boys javelin. Overall, there were 9 athletes who met the qualifying standards on Saturday. You can read all about it in today's Guardian Sports section. From the NFL, the Miami Dolphins hiring San Francisco 49ers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel as their head coach, making him the first minority candidate to get hired so far this offseason. McDaniel, who's biracial, replaces Brian Flores, who was fired despite posting winning records in the final 2 of his 3 seasons in Miami. Flores sued the NFL, the Dolphins, and 2 other teams last week over alleged racist hiring practices for coaches and general managers, saying the league remains rife with racism even as it publicly condemns it. McDaniel had worked under 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan for the past 11 seasons and gets his first shot as a head coach after only 1 year as offensive coordinator. McDaniel was credited for his role in developing San Francisco's creative running game that featured receiver Deebo Samuel as a running back at times, along with other wrinkles. McDaniel could bring some of those wrinkles to Miami to feature playmaking receiver Jalen Waddle in even more creative ways. And the message was nothing to see here, move on. That came from Chinese tennis player Peng Shuai. In a controlled interview in Beijing that touched on sexual assault allegations she made against a former high-ranking member of China's ruling Communist Party, her answers delivered in front of a Chinese Olympic official left unanswered questions about her well-being and what exactly happened. The interview with French sports newspaper L'Equipe and an announcement that International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach met Peng for dinner this weekend seemed aimed at diffusing sustained international concerns about the 3-time Olympian and former number 1 ranked tennis doubles player. Those concerns have threatened to overshadow the Winter Olympics underway in Beijing. Peng telling the paper that concerns were the result of an enormous misunderstanding but the format of the interview appeared to allow for no sustained follow-ups with questions submitted in advance, and a Chinese Olympic Committee official sitting in on the discussion, translating Peng's comments from Chinese. Large parts of the hour-long interview conducted Sunday in a Beijing hotel and organized through China's Olympic Committee with the IOC's help focused on Peng's playing career. At age 36 and after multiple knee surgeries, Peng says she couldn't envisage a return to tour-level professional tennis. She hasn't played on the women's tour since February of 2020. We asked about sexual assault allegations that sparked the controversy in November. The allegations were quickly scrubbed from her verified account on a leading Chinese social media platform. She subsequently dropped out of public view for a while, leading to questions online and from players all over the world about where she was. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your weather for today, we've got a high-pressure system that remains over the islands. However, streaming moisture will increase the chance of shower activity today. Beachgoers should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents along Atlantic exposed shorelines. For all areas today, forecast calls for variably cloudy and mild conditions with a few isolated showers and possible thunderstorms through tonight. Small craft caution remains in effect for all boaters. Winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots in the northwest and central Bahamas, 15 to 20 knots in the southeast Bahamas. Seas 2 to 4 feet in the northwest and central islands and 4 to 6 feet in the southeastern islands. Seas up to 8 feet in north and easterly swells along Atlantic exposed shores for all areas. Temperature-wise right now, Nassau, it's about 69 degrees under fair skies. We're looking at highs getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 61 Fahrenheit, 16 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit. You're listening to Morning Blend. When we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Technology makes every day in life just a little bit easier. Whether it's for joy, productivity, or creativity, Custom Computers has all the latest gadgets to conquer any obstacle. Imagine automating mundane tasks with tech and living a freer, richer lifestyle, all while staying on top of your goals. The path to freedom could fit in the palm of your hand. Discover tomorrow's technology today at Custom Computers on Patton Street, Cable Beach, and Caves Village through the Blake Road entrance.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Pamela Musgrove will be joining us. Also this morning, we've got more weather, traffic, and business news. And throughout the morning, we're going to be talking about what's in the news. And later in the main portion of the show, we're going to be looking at some recent developments in the UK. Some interesting things are happening with their government and even with the Queen, and the implications for us in the Bahamas and lessons that can be learned here, as well as they grapple with a lot of similar issues to what we are facing, but how they're dealing with it. We're going to talk about that this morning. So a lot to get to, but let's begin with what's in the news. And in the news, quite a lot of interesting stories to talk about this morning. We're going to go through a lot of them. Full classroom return likely beginning this week. So says the Minister of Education, Glenys Hannah Martin. Our Rachel Scott writing about it today. As COVID numbers continue to decline over the weekend, Minister of Education, Glenys Hannah Martin, says that plans are underway to begin the rollout of full face-to-face learning this week. She told the NASA Guardian, quote, "The policy decision has been taken that all schools will go 100% fully face-to-face, and the rollout will begin this week on a school-by-school basis." Hannah Martin saying committees have been set up at each school and include union members. She said, quote, "They will ensure that the mandated protocols are in place and that they will go fully 100%. In exceptional cases, which include some schools in New Providence, there might be some issues, for example, T.A. Thompson." Now, Hannah Martin says T.A. Thompson Junior High continues to be challenged by major infrastructural issues that were discovered just weeks ago. She said the necessary works will take about 12 weeks to complete. She said, quote, "We are going to meet tomorrow to find an alternative location for the purpose of rerouting them." Another challenge is in Abaco. Hannah Martin says full in-person learning at Patrick J. Bethel High School on Abaco will also likely be delayed due to a teacher shortage. She says, quote, "It's the largest Family Island school, and there's an issue with teacher shortages. And there's going to be a supplement of 7 additional teachers, which will allow that school to begin the phasing in to 100%. But right now, it's fully virtual. It's very urgent." Hannah Martin says the teachers are going through the public services vetting process, but once that's finished, the Patrick J. Bethel High School should be able to transition to a fully hybrid program and hopefully soon after face-to-face. She says that there's also a housing shortage on Abaco, but they're confident a solution can be found. All right, so that's happening, and that will be good news for a lot of people. And the numbers are definitely trending downward, as we saw over the weekend. We'll get to that in a bit. But as a result of this, we're hearing that there could be a further relaxing of measures coming from the Ministry of Health. According to Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville, the government is considering relaxing restrictions as COVID cases and hospitalizations continue to decline. Darville saying on Saturday, as you can see, the numbers are going down. As the numbers go down, the government really is not in the business of trying to control people's behavior. He says the reason why that takes place is because of the possibility of community spread. As you're aware, lockdowns were off the table for us a long time ago. We said a long time ago that we're not going that route anymore. If we're to go that route, it had to have been a life or death situation. Okay, I think that's what it was before as well. But here we go. He goes on to say, quote, "We felt that like many other countries, we have the capability to do a better job with person-to-person transmission by controlling large gatherings and making sure that we do public education where people will practice the proper protocols." Minister Darville says the government will allow more events once cases and hospitalizations continue to decrease. The current restrictions limit indoor events to 20 people, outdoor events to 30 people, and prevent the presence of an urn or casket in a church or other religious facility. The attendance for funerals and weddings is also limited to 33% of the occupancy of the facility where they're being held. The Medical Association of the Bahamas said yesterday that they were, quote, that we really need to be able to coexist with the virus. It said, from a healthcare perspective, progress has been made, additional nursing staff recruited. But we must remain mindful of the concerns of the healthcare workers as they continue the fight. There is indeed a balance that must be met in being able to coexist with COVID. Restrictions such as testing before entry should be kept in place. The association also said in coexisting that all safety protocols, including hand washing, social distancing, and mask wearing, must also be maintained to limit the spread of infection. All right, so that's two encouraging signs there, and hopefully these numbers will hold. You know, this is a big weekend coming up with the Super Bowl and Valentine's, and we're hoping that this pattern that we're seeing will continue with low numbers. I think over the weekend, let's pull up the numbers. I think one day was extremely low. All right, so for February 4th, we had 33 cases in New Providence, 2 for Grand Bahama, 2 for Abaco, 5 for Eleuthera, 2 for the Berry Islands, 1 for Exuma, for a total of 45. Unfortunately, there were some deaths reported, four deaths, all from Grand Bahama. An 81-year-old man who died on the 23rd of January, a 56-year-old woman who died on the 24th, a 70-year-old man who died on the 26th, and a 74-year-old woman who died on the 27th. And the Ministry of Health says that 3 of the 4 deaths, which were previously under investigation, are now reclassified as COVID deaths, plus there's 1 additional death under investigation. Right? All right. Then the following day, the 5th, we had 4 cases on New Providence, 7 on Grand Bahama, 2 on Eleuthera, and the total was 13. And no additional deaths reported there. So then, it fluctuates, but it's still pretty low compared to what we were seeing a month ago when we were all freaking out there. But if we can keep that lower, that's a good thing. But we're hearing still the stories of, how could this happen when this is happening? So there's parties, there's concerts, but at a track meet when people can socially distance, the police come down there to shut down what was going on. Of course, that was said to be a misunderstanding, and it was allowed to continue. This was a qualifier for Carifta, which is coming up in a few months. But yeah, the police came there, and with the COVID police as well, threatened to shut down this B3A Star Performance Title time trials, and there was a chaotic scene for a little while. But again, that's outdoors. People are spaced out, and yet we see the videos every week of grand parties, people on top of each other. So what's happening there? But let's get your views on all of it, folks. Encouraging news from education, encouraging from health. Everyone's saying we've got to learn to live with it. Learn to live with it. People have been saying that for a long time. How do you feel about how things are going? And are you concerned about this weekend? Could this be a super spreader weekend with all the things that are going to happen? Let's get your views. Give us a call. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on Morning Blend.
Mr. Strachan, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well. Good morning.
Morning, sir. How are you doing? Mr. Strachan, give me a couple of points, okay? Can I?
Sure.
Then controversy. Mr. Strachan, first of all, the track meet, right? That was a minor misunderstanding, but come here to prevail, okay? But you know, certain, not the police force, certain elements of the police force try to stop it, but you know, come here to prevail, okay? So that was an issue, okay? Minister of Sports, Mr. Bullock, did a great job and rectifying that, okay? Mr. Strachan.
Well, I mean, it is an issue, and it was resolved, but it was an issue. We can't downplay it like that.
The code police was trying to make the government look bad, so that's why.
Why would they do that?
We had to intervene. Pardon me?
Why would they do that?
No, Mr. Strachan, they do it. Common sense is, if kids are practicing for a rafter outdoor, that's a non-issue. So they made a foolishness, but it was corrected. So that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, we understand all of that, Dave, but I mean, that's not how things should be happening.
No, Mr. Strachan, let's be careful, Mr. Strachan. We all know, not the commissioner, not the whole police force. Certain elements of the police force was using this COVID-19 as revenge on the deal with certain people wrongly.
No,
so
we don't all know that. That doesn't make any sense. Why would that be?
No, Mr. Strachan, why it makes sense? The kids are practicing for a rafter. Common sense dictates police officers have the right to use their own discretion. That's why I say it made sense. So comments are real. Mr. Strachan, the bigger picture is, hello?
Yep.
The bigger picture is, school opening face-to-face is a new day. Another thing, right? Why I brought it up, because you brought it up. Kay Forbes Smith, I haven't been on the way. You think this woman had good? This woman was a senator, a senate president, ambassador to Atlanta. Her government called election. I mean, you see the forces she's suing for? Allowance, car and gas. I mean, Mr. Strachan.
Well, she says her contract wasn't up. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Mr. Strachan. Hello, Mr. Strachan.
Yeah.
No government, let's be careful, no government is planning to no contract, to no contract if the contract is not in the national best interest. What do you think? To have K Forbes hanging around national disaster, and this woman is a political, not against her, she's a political operative up front. So all the other people in there, when the government change, PLP will for them, pack your bag and go home. Pack your bag and go home, okay? Mr. Strachan.
Yes.
People like you need a chance too, no?
No, that's
not
right.
You. It's people like you.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Strachan.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, nothing against nobody. People, we all know it's civil servants, public servants, true of us, right? Right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Public servants are hired through a commission on the right rate. But anybody, PLP or for them, even you all right now, who get hired right now? PLPs. If you all get hired, for political use, I expect the government knows pack your bag and go home. Pack your bag and go home. What else K Forbes want? Women people do not face service women. This woman was fleecing of the taxpayers for years and years and years.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, sir.
Thanks a lot. All right. Aha. Yeah, we're gonna get into that story in a second. Pamela Musgrove. Hey. Good morning. Great to have you with us.
There?
Yeah.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hey,
Good morning,
yeah. Okay. Okay. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us. Facebook us. Text us. 422-4796. We'll get back to that story in just a bit. All right, let's see what this caller has to say. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight and guest. How you doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
morning.
Listen, my concern is with Dr. Davos and the vetting of the, even though we appreciate it, the vetting of the nurses that came in from Cuba. I had some encounters with them last week, and I had to do translation for some of the Bahamian nurses for them. Some of them can't speak a word of English. And only that, they came in as RNs, registered nurses, and we find out through some of the sisters there, they couldn't work with them because a lot of them are just PCAs. So I don't know who did the vetting for them. I watched a nurse frustrated saying, oh, Jesus, this woman doing it wrong again. and she couldn't tell her nothing because she couldn't speak no English.
Caller, do they have ongoing training within the hospital for our nurses, like ongoing training every few years? You go and
yes. And we have there's a big shortage of nurses there now. You know that.
No, I understand, but I mean, I'm asking: is there ongoing training, formal training for our nurses?
Well, I'm not sure about that because.
See, I think that's what's missing, because if you have that, then these nurses would fit into that program. But if you came out of school and you were told this is what you do and that's it, and you continue doing that until you retire or until you move to another position, there may be a challenge. So if there should be, I think, formal ongoing training for nurses. Like, for instance, I work in the financial services industry, and every year we have to do a course on excuse me, what I'm thinking.
But refreshers, he said.
Yes.
But look here, but somebody needs to look into that, because the problem with that is, for me, is that patients' lives are at stake. Because if you go hook up a dialysis machine wrong once or twice or even 3 times, suppose the Bahamian registered nurse didn't pick up on that, and they put a patient on that machine. That's a very serious thing. You understand me? So I think that of them need to go and have another look at that. Thanks for taking the call.
Okay. All right. Well, we need to verify all of that, check into that.
I just think they need training. It just escaped me a minute. They're money laundering. We do the money laundering refresher session each year. So I just think what needs to happen is some training programs that all nurses would have to do, and then they will fit into that as well. So everybody knows that they have to do the process in a certain way.
I see what you're saying. But I mean, yes, but they really were hoping. Again, we have to verify what he's saying, but they were hoping these people could immediately just get into the system because we're so desperate.
Yeah, but it would be difficult because they came from a different system. It's just like if someone studied law in the UK, they cannot go in the US and practice law.
Yeah.
They would have to do a conversion course, vice versa. So you just need a training program so that all nurses at a particular level knows that
Get
this
on
is
the
the
same
way
page.
we do what we do. So it's not expected that they will come in and operate exactly like the nurses here. So because according to him, he doesn't know if there's a training course, and probably you may have 5 different nurses in one area doing different things.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to some of your text messages, then we'll move on to some other issues. This person says here, we all know there were release restrictions because a certain performer is coming, and we all know who's the promoter of that event. Okay.
Who's coming? Who's coming?
I'll show you.
Okay.
I won't give them a free ad, but I'll
Okay.
show you.
Okay.
This person says, they go on to say, I might not agree with you and Juan all the time, but I respect you guys. You all are unbiased, cannot be bought, unlike some others. Wow.
You're celebrating 10 years this year, Dwight.
Hey, man.
In April. Congratulations.
Right here, same chair. How many different administrations? Yep. Okay. This person says, oh my. Okay. Concerns about Dave. This one says here, yeah, Pam, they have continuing education for the nurses every week.
Yeah, so every week.
Well,
okay.
Another one says, yes, it's formal ongoing training annually.
But that's
for
good.
Nurses to maintain
so then
licenses.
what they need to do is put these
those new ones in that program.
in that program, and they will get that program immediately.
But it sounds like they need to have someone to teach that in Spanish.
Yeah, well then we can do that. We don't we teach Spanish in the schools? So we can do that. So just put the nurses in that program so that they can become familiar with the way we do things in the Bahamas.
You'd have to find a medical person, though, because
that is not hard to find.
Yeah,
that
what?
Is, no.
Who can? Okay.
Well, we brought the nurses over.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's
bring
not difficult to find.
My goodness.
You just have to do some training.
Yeah. Wow. This person says here, the Cuban nurses are the ones who the caller says are not RNs and can't speak English. Bahamian nurses are in shortage. When would any of them have time to train these other nurses?
Well, the program, they have a program. You're not asking the nurses directly to train them. They can assist and help, but you put them through that orientation program before they get on the wards
We're going to look into that one and see what's really happening there. But I'm sure the language barrier would be a challenge, although if you've been to the hospital, there's a lot of people who don't speak English there. But sure. Okay. So you heard the caller mention it. This is the big headline in the Nassau Guardian. Smith sues government. Former DRA chief wants over $400K. Our Jasper Ward writing about this. Former Disaster Reconstruction Authority Managing Director Catherine Forbes Smith, is suing the government for more than $400,000 for breach of contract after she was terminated from the role last year. A writ of summons, which was dated December 21st, 2021, but only recently served, states that Smith's employment contract went into effect on December 3rd, 2019, and was due to expire on November 30th, 2023. Under the terms of that contract, the DRA agreed to pay Smith an annual salary of $110,000 in monthly installments of $9,166.66 and an annual housing allowance of $30,000 in monthly installments of $2,500. It also agreed to an annual duty allowance of $15,000. Duty allowance. Oh, okay. In monthly installments of $1,250 and a monthly fuel allowance of $250. At the end of the contract, Smith was entitled to receive a gratuity of 15% of the sum received under the contract. While she was required to give 6 months' notice of her intent to terminate the contract prior to the expiration, the contract made no provision for the DRA to terminate the contract before the expiration. The document claims that at all material times, Ms. Smith properly and competently performed her duties and obligations as required under the contract. Article also goes on to say, quote, on or around September 29th, 2021, the DRA, in breach of the contract, purported to terminate the contract effective immediately, it states. This was communicated to Ms. Smith by letter from the Office of the Prime Minister dated September 29th, 2021. The DRA has wrongfully terminated the contract 26 months before the expiration date. In so doing, it has acted in breach of the contract. By way of damages for the aforementioned breach, Ms. Smith is entitled to a contractual sum for termination of her employment in breach of contract in an amount equal to her salary and benefits for the unexpired term of the contract. Smith claims $408,333.16 in contractual damages against the DRA. And there is a full breakdown here, which I won't go into all that. But hey, it's here in today's Nassau Guardian. We want to read about it. All right, so let's get your views on this. You heard what Dave says. The political appointees. Do you agree that once the government changes, you should just say, "Hey, yep, I think it's time for me to head out"?
I think that is the case, but I think what we have been doing in successive administrations, when they come in, they double down on this. So, for instance, my guess is that Minnis administration is doubling down on what probably happened in the Christie administration, and that is these appointments are supposed to be political, but if you structure the contract to go over the time period, then persons, when you come in, persons say, well, okay, my contract expires another 12 months, so I want you to pay me out of the contract. And I think what they have been doing is they have been writing it in the contract to advantage the persons who are taking these positions.
Yes.
And at the end of the day,
And
the
giving
only
people contracts right before the election as well.
Yeah, and the only people who are fleeced are the Bahamian.
Yes.
Right?
As always.
With these contracts. Now, I think in this situation where the contract was lump-sided in that she could give 6-month notice, but the DRA, there was no indication of their time period. So then it may rule that either no indication means immediate or 6 months the most. It definitely would not be, in my opinion, the 26 months. And the question you asked, why was that left out? Who drafted this contract? Was it drafted by this person to advantage this person and not the DRA? Because you have both sides. In your employment contract, you could give 3 months notice. The employer could give 3 months notice.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
All over.
So why would a contract be drafted when it was lump-sided? So I think what is happening is if you notice a lot of consultancy positions, you get a lot of people who, you see it now, leaving one job, one permanent job to go to work for government as just a consultant. And what is happening in a lot of cases are these contracts, I don't think these contracts should go over a certain time period. I think it needs to be legislated that these contracts probably be annual. Because you can call it early election. And that's what happened. See, Dr. Minnis threw all of these people out of whack because they were probably budgeting for this salary until May of this year or sometime when he called a snap election. Why? I don't understand why politicians don't see that is not wise. But he called a snap election. And so the livelihoods of a lot of people were affected. Right? But I think this needs to be in legislation. And I think we need a leader who really looking out for the best interests of the Bahamian people and make these type of contracts maximum annually.
Yeah. Because if we look back 5 years ago, we had the same concerns from
That's
people.
my point.
They
Yeah.
were saying the same thing. They were wrongfully terminated.
Yeah.
And they had so many more months or years to go. And so here we go again, same story.
And so
Over and over.
what the subsequent administration did is, okay, y'all were wrongfully terminated. And so you have to walk away from that contract. So we're going to fix this. And persons who are probably taking these positions, go after them. We're going to fix this so that even if you lose, I'm getting my money. So the government, you pay me out of my money.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's bad for the country. So I
It's
think
horrible.
this needs to go into legislation. Maximum, these contracts should be 1 year at a time.
Let's hear what you have to say about it, folks. 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Somebody already mentioned it. I mean, we see a lot of people, a lot of movement all over the country. People are leaving and going to jobs, and everyone's like scratching their head. Like you realize it's only for 4 or 5 years, right?
Well, I guess, Dwight, I thought about it, right? And I try to put myself in the position. If someone is probably offering you double, you see this contract?
Yeah,
you see the
man,
benefits of this
wow.
contract?
I mean,
housing allowance.
Judy?
These like offshore expat contracts.
Not only the prime minister got these type numbers.
See, so if someone is offering you double and adding all of these sweetness to the contract, you probably say, you know what? I'll take this for 5 years and I'll deal with it afterwards. So you probably get 10 years
Save
for the
up.
salary.
Yeah.
But you see, this is a sweet
Student
contract.
allowance.
I don't envy them, but I don't think it should be. I think these contracts should be annual and not go over a period of time where the Bahamian people have to pay you out.
Yeah. All right, let's hear what you have to say again. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. But let's just say you have it. I mean, you have a contract like this. Should you, knowing, just offer? They might not even accept it if they like you so much. If they think you've been doing a good job, although that never happens here, they might say no. We won't accept it. We want you to stick around.
No,
I think there was one case of that.
No, because
But should you do it? Just resign after the election, after the people who appointed you.
no,
after
the
they've
individual.
lost?
No,
You shouldn't?
No, there's a process. Right? And what happens is when one political party leaves and the other one comes in, their supporters want these jobs. Their supporters want the job. So you can't keep, this is how we think, though, you can't keep the other guys in this job because you have all of these people who supported you and you need to put
Right,
them.
that's what I'm saying. So maybe you should resign, knowing that they may want to do that.
Well, you can resign, but you want your money at the end of the day, right? You want your money. And that's what it is. You can get rid of someone on a job. You just have to pay them out.
Oh boy. Okay, let's get to your messages, and you can call in as we said. All right. So this person is saying here. Okay, that's about me being here for 10 years.
I want to hear it.
You all need to focus, man. Focus. Dwight, same chair. You deserve much better. Congratulations on a continuous stellar job. Well,
Yes, I agree. Congratulations.
Well, I think literally it's a different chair. We had to replace some of the chairs. So yeah, it's a slight,
But the same
spot,
position.
same position. Yes. All right. This person says here, we did the same thing when work permits were granted for the Mexican construction workers. Oh, this is back to the nurses thing. Okay, not right. Sure. This one says, I'm not trying to diminish Ms. Smith's feelings, but any one of those contracts, are any of those contracts around? Because I could use one of them.
You know, maybe you all can, but we don't get the offers.
Just the duty allowance alone.
What do you have to do to get one of these offers, though?
I think good citizens should get a duty allowance, not just through the airport. You know, I think you should get a little, right? You could win it. Could you win it? Could that be the lottery? Anyway, good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning to your co-host.
Hi, good morning.
Yes. Let me firstly congratulate persons who have won the contract, especially those journalists who now can use their journalist experience in different areas, and they did not left to go under. They left to go in a higher position. Congratulate them. They'll be
we all congratulate. Yeah,
pardon me?
that's a good thing. Yeah, we congratulate
they'll
them.
be getting their exposure.
Yeah. And at the end of the
not
day,
just using it as a anchor or whatever, but they'll be getting more exposure. And I congratulate. I couldn't get into Mrs. Black's show. I congratulate her too for the exposure she will be getting as well, even though it might be a 5-year whatever contract. Even those in the economic field, perhaps in your field, Ms. Pamela.
no, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because everybody
work
have
on
to add.
contract.
Yeah,
and it's a very good thing that those who were chosen, like I said, they took the offer, and they're still young, and whether it's the end of a 5-year contract, just like in your field, Pamela, they moved to a different area, different company.
Yeah. I'm happy for all of those persons that got it because everybody have to look at their personal interest at the end of the day.
And
I don't fault anybody for that.
More experience in their journalism field.
Okay. Oh, that's it? Oh, okay. Well, sure. Of course. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
As related to these contracts what these governments keep giving out to these people, do we really scrutinize if we getting value for our money what we giving out to these people? Because the DRA and NEMA faculty was almost doing the same thing. It's almost a duplication.
Caller, do you think they are scrutinized?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
You see? Because at the end of the day, and the reality is, ain't nobody gonna leave no bunch of money sitting on the table. Slack money too.
No.
Anyway, and that's my problem that I have with all the government's been doing over there. Because if you remember, right after the last election, Dr. Minnis caught up in the parliament and talked about how he ain't gonna give out no contract for $100,000, and he stopped contracts for a couple of people. We tell them they have to go to court to collect their monies. With Balchin Battle, I think, was one of them. The Balchin Battle.
Yeah, would it be paid out?
And Ian Poitier, right? And it's kind of sad that we keep repeating the same nonsense every election cycle.
Yep.
You know, like these people really don't care. You know, because at the end of the day, you're giving the person who running the DRA housing allowance, and they're supposed to be looking out for people who ain't getting a house because of disaster.
Wow.
You're looking out for them first.
And see the effect that it has.
On top of a big salary and other benefits, you're giving them housing allowance while people in Abago and Grand Bahama been trying to get in homes from 2019 after the storm. You know, we have to, like you said, we need legislation so that these, especially these political appointed persons, can't be overlapping into the new election. It doesn't mean that your party mightn't win. Now, if your party win again, then chances are they might renew your contract. But it shouldn't be where you're trying to hook where the next government will be responsible for paying you out all this money first and foremost without even doing an evaluation to see if we're getting value for money. What your job description is.
And not only that, caller, but you look at the recurrent expenditure. We keep talking about our deficit. This is all related. And that's why you see you can't slash that deficit. And you look at it and they continue to increase the recurring deficit. And then the capital expenditure, which is supposed to be improving the infrastructure, that continues to decline. So it's all related. That's why we cannot shake this high deficit because of stuff like this that adds up.
Yeah.
And we got to stop duplicating these positions. If you get NEMA, what's supposed to be dealing with disaster, NEMA being doing stuff. I know you want to give your people who help you win, especially certain people, you want to help them, get them on the gravy train, because that's all it is, getting them on the gravy train. And then how you could negotiate a contract where you, as the employer, don't give yourself out of in the contract.
It's unbelievable. No, it's very bizarre.
That making any sense?
Not at all. Thank you so much.
And I hope this government don't be doing the same thing, because we tired of this.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's all hope. Yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Boy. Let's take another call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight. Morning, Pam. How you doing?
Good morning.
Doing well. Good morning.
Yeah, I'm calling regarding the school system, but I'll just say the reason why a lot of us Bahamians are upset is because now a lot of us are realizing the fact that it's our taxpayers' money that the government is wasting. But yet they don't want to spend money on taking people's homes out of foreclosure so that people can have their homes to live in for the rest of their lives, but yet they're spending our money and wasting it all over the place on things that they shouldn't be spending it on in tough times like this. But that being said, I wanted to touch on the school system. I know persons who work in the educational system, Dwight, and it's my understanding from these persons in regards to the T.A. Thompson School, that particular school, the condition of it is one of the reasons why a lot of those 400 teachers who started earlier this year sat out. Again, it's my understanding that that school, the school has two basic structures on it. The old one is condemned. It's still being used, I understand. The new one, which was built approximately 20 years ago or so, is crumbling. So what I'm wanting to know is, why is it that governments of the day are constantly expecting the public servants, such as teachers in this instance, to work in conditions that are apparently and allegedly hazardous to their health? I use the perfect example with the old, now no longer existing post office building when that was around. You remember the many stories that used to be in the media with concrete dropping out of the ceiling all over the place?
Yeah, we'll never forget.
Man, Dwight, it seems to me like that T.A. Thompson school situation is just as dire from what I'm being told. That means people are sitting around and they don't know what part of the building may or may not drop on them and who might be in the way, children or teachers, when something like that happens. What will the Ministry of Education then do or say?
Yeah, well, that's why they're still virtual, and like the other schools, and we're told it may take as many as 12 weeks to get it.
To get it all back. But Dwight, my God, man, the country was shut down for 2 years because of COVID-19. You trying to tell me the government couldn't put plans in place to maintain all these buildings during that time?
Well, remember now, the minister said she was only made aware of the situation a few days before we were supposed to return to the
notice I said system. The government. I didn't say the minister. Because governance is continuous, as we're being told.
Yeah, so they tell us a lot of things.
The Minister of Education at the time, which was Jeffrey Lloyd, he should have ensured that T.A. Thompson and all other schools would have had a massive repair undertaken to ensure that those big problems either were eliminated or that those schools were completely condemned and put up for rebuilding. Come on, man, we need to stop treating ourselves like dirt in this country. You know, one of the reasons why, and I'll end on this note, non-Bahamians laugh at us, because in many quarters I'm hearing it and I'm embarrassed when I hear it, and I'm actually offended when I hear it, that we are looked at as some of the most stupid people in this region because of the way where Bahamians treat Bahamians. We need to get a better grip than that we are more valuable as a people than we are treating ourselves, man. Not just because you're in politics or because you got a little bit of power, mean that you should do wrong just because you got the pen to do wrong.
Yeah. You got to do better, absolutely.
Anyway, I'd like to hear what you or any of the members of the public have to say with that quote-unquote crumbling situation with the T.A. Thompson School. Because I can't believe they're going to want teachers and students to go back to that place at the Ministry of Education. Even though she's been there for a few months, she is now the Minister of Education. I'm going to be watching this one closely.
They don't expect anyone to until they get it sorted out. And as we said, it's going to be months. And it's already February, so clearly that's not going to happen this school year. You can take your mind off that one.
We have a real serious problem with maintenance. It's like we construct a building and we just allow it to just run down. Just think of your car. If you purchase a brand new car and you just drive it, put gas in it, drive it without getting it serviced, what's going to happen to your car?
Yeah.
And that's what we do with the buildings. And that's why I'm always concerned when we rush to build stuff, because we don't have a proper maintenance program in place to ensure the longevity of those buildings.
Yeah. Some text messages here. Someone says here, Mass Pam, why would politicians care about calling a snap election when they're already rich and secure on their own? That's so they don't care, I guess they're saying. I agree with Pam, a 1-year contract at a time because anything could happen. Another one here, the new public financial management legislation limits employment contracts for government agencies to not more than 3 years at a time. Yeah, that's still not good enough, though, because people will get a contract 2 months before the election is called, and then that overlaps with the new party if they get elected.
Because I think this contract has, 26 months or thereabouts. They're remaining in the contract.
2023.
And then, two, we see it all the time. One administration put in legislation that they say is in the best interest of the process or the Bahamian people. And then the other administration, they change it. So, that's a challenge.
Yeah. Ms. Smith was the campaign coordinator for the FNM. She knows that after government changes, she should have resigned.
Yeah, she may know that, but she has a contract. And that's what we have to get to the bottom of. She has a contract.
Another text here. These consultant contracts will sink this country. No value for the fortunes these political operatives win off our backs. Yeah. This is why the IMF will work us over. Obvious lack of financial intelligence. That's a text. And let's take this call, then we've got to take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on Morning Blend.
Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Pam. How you doing,
Pam? Good morning, good, thanks. I'm good.
Good morning, Pam. Let me see. I heard what my boy JT say. See, Dwight, I keep telling you all this over repeatedly. They swear they lead to the Korean heart. They ask them for success. That's why they treat us the way they treat us like this. The world judge you by how you keep your prison, how you help the sick, how you home your people. You lock up homeless people and they got a place to put them. Nothing can change this country until 2027, right? That most of school, they got to get out of the way. And like they say, they fix it this way, right? Everybody keeps doing.
But
if I was the prime minister right now, everybody that turn to join the office, I'll fire everybody else. And how you do people?
JJ.
Who do the job? Yes.
See, because the Moses crew is taking so long, the Joshua crew will learn the ways of the Moses crew and do the same thing. That's the problem.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I hope it wouldn't be. See, what they need to do, right? Trying to put B is the only country in the world don't amend. A great and nice is to keep amending.
Exactly. I agree with you totally.
See, treason is there by hanging in our country, but our people are too past it. But I will say somebody thing. But thanks for taking my call, right?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let's take that break, caller. We'll get back to you in just a bit. This is Morning Blend on a Monday morning here on Guardian Radio 96.9. A lot more to talk about in the news. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
This is AP News. I'm Rita Foley. Later today, lawmakers plan to hold a moment of silence at the U.S. Capitol for the more than 900,000 Americans who have now died from COVID. The coronavirus has taken more than 5.5 million lives around the world. Many Asian countries are facing a spike in COVID infections this morning after the widely celebrated Lunar New Year holidays. Health officials expecting the numbers will continue to rise in the coming weeks. The AP's Charles de Ledesma.
The New Year, which is China's biggest holiday, was celebrated across Asia on February 1, even as pandemic restrictions in many countries kept crowds and family outings to a minimum. In Hong Kong, authorities are confronting record virus cases that are straining its so-called zero COVID policy. Elsewhere in Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand, health officials are reporting high infection numbers, largely driven by Omicron. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Fears are rising that Russia will invade Ukraine. Today, French President Macron is meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, and the German Chancellor will be at the White House to meet with President Biden. The AP's Jackie Quinn.
With White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Fox News, warning Russia could invade Ukraine any day.
We are in the window.
President Biden will be meeting with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Washington, focusing on the standoff. Scholz, after meeting with President Biden today, next week will travel to Kyiv and Moscow. French President Emmanuel Macron, before heading to Moscow, spoke with President Biden by phone, saying that they discussed ongoing diplomatic and deterrence efforts in response to Russia's military buildup along Ukraine's borders. I'm Jackie Quinn.
The U.S. has won 3 silver medals at the Winter Olympics in Beijing. This is AP News. Spotify will not part ways with the popular podcast host Joe Rogan despite criticism over his anti-coronavirus vaccine comments and racial slurs. Spotify CEO Daniel Ek said in a message to employees released Sunday he condemns what Rogan has said, but he doesn't think that silencing him is the answer. The AP's Oscar Wells Gabriel has more.
Public health, racial controversy, treatment of musicians. It's all been a perfect storm against Spotify as critics have been focusing on Joe Rogan and his podcast. The streaming service has tried to navigate this stretch of rough waters by pulling some of his podcasts and putting advisories on his and others. Further complicating the equation, money. Spotify reportedly pays $100 million to host Joe Rogan's podcast.
Queen Elizabeth says she wants Prince Charles' wife Camilla to be known as Queen Consort when the time comes. Elizabeth is celebrating 70 years on the throne. I'm Rita Foley, AP News.
7:40, the time, 7:41. Now it's time for your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. In your real-time traffic this hour, we're seeing heavy traffic on Mile Butler Highway. Usual hotspot, but heavier than it's been heavy the past few weeks. Really well south of Fire Trail. We don't normally see it at this hour like that, but that's how it is from the roundabout at Fire Trail, well south of that, all the way up to Tawny Williams Darling Highway in the northbound lanes, and back to Belong Fire Trail as well, eastbound this morning. Tawny Williams Darling Highway is also backed up westbound to the roundabout with Mile Butler Highway, so keep that in mind if you're in that area. Gladstone Road is also busy for you, just north of Fire Trail. You'll see that in the northbound lanes heading up to JFK Drive. Carmichael eastbound, building traffic there to Blue Hill Road, which is seeing issues as well from south of St. Vincent all the way up to Independence Drive in the roundabout, especially north of Soldier Road. You'll see that heavy traffic there. Independence Drive is backed up in both directions, especially westbound to the roundabout with Blue Hill Road. Back to Carmichael for a bit. We are seeing the traffic building westbound as well on heading towards Coral Harbor Road, and there's some congestion near the southern end of Mile Butler Highway and Faith Avenue. East Street, also heavy traffic there between Soldier and the roundabout with Independence Drive East-West Highway, mainly the northbound lanes, and at the intersection with Robinson Road. Then Robinson at various points, the major intersections like East-West Highway and Marathon Road, Old Trail and Soldier Road, And then Prince Charles Drive and Beatrice Avenue and Fox Hill Road and Prince Charles Drive, heavy traffic there. Marathon, building traffic marathon, but Soldier Road, especially north of Robinson, you'll be seeing that heavy traffic on the way to the intersection with Bernard Road. So lots of hot spots this morning. Those are the areas that are seeing heavy traffic at this hour. We'll have another real-time report for you after the 8 o'clock news. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. And we've got time for another check of your weather. Here's what's happening. High pressure remains across the islands, but streaming moisture will increase the chance of shower activity. Beachgoers should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents along Atlantic-exposed beaches. For all areas today, we're looking at variably cloudy and mild conditions with a few isolated showers or possible thunderstorms through tonight. Small craft caution remains in effect for all areas. Temperatures today getting up to about 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down about 61 Fahrenheit, 16 Celsius. In your extended outlook, the surface trough is expected to move across the southern then central islands, while a frontal boundary should enter the northwest Bahamas on Tuesday and eventually stall through Wednesday. So for tomorrow, Tuesday, expect variably cloudy and breezy conditions with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Wednesday, again, variably cloudy and a bit breezy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. That's your Morning Blend weather check. We'll be back with more Morning Blend after these messages here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Grand Bahama, it's time to read all about it once again, as the Nassau Guardian starts a weekly Grand Bahama news supplement each and every Tuesday starting February 8th. Learn more about advertising opportunities in the Grand Bahama news supplement by calling Barefoot Marketing at 727-9515 or 827-4578. Grand Bahama, make sure you get your Nassau Guardian daily and grab your Grand Bahama news supplement each Tuesday to keep up with all the latest Grand Bahama news.
Whenever you want, wherever you are, for all your banking needs, we make it easy. CIBC, First Caribbean, we've got all your banking solutions. CIBC, First Caribbean. CIBC, First Caribbean. Fidelity, we're good for you.
We believe in relationship banking. We take pride in getting to know our clients. You have access to knowledgeable, approachable ambassadors and financial coaches so that we can recommend the best product for you. At Fidelity, we care about you. From your financial health to your physical health, we can relate to you because we're just like you. Come and start your relationship banking experience with us today. Visit us online at fidelitygroup.com. Visit any of our branches in Nassau or Grand Bahama, or phone 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 for Freeport.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Good day, Airborne Freight and Cargo Services. How may I help you today?
Hey, listen, I just heard about you all, man.
Yes, sir. How may I help you, sir?
I hear you all giving out free things. And I's a mom with 12 children. I love free things.
Well, yes, sir. If you're ordering with Airborne Freight and Cargo Services for the first time, we will be giving you prizes just for shipping with us.
Hold on, wait. What are y'all giving out so?
Well, we're giving away gas vouchers, coupons from various outlets, up to 20% off your shipping fee, and so much more.
Could y'all please stop slamming my door? None of y'all pay no bills inside here. Sorry about that, Mom. Hey, y'all to ship double shoulders cause this woman expecting twins again, Dread.
Airborne Freight and Cargo Services. Get rewarded for being a new customer on top of our already low rates. Call us at 377-0450 or visit us on Facebook at Ship Airborne for more information.
Whenever you want, wherever you are, for all your banking needs, we make it easy. CIBC, First Caribbean, we've got all your banking solutions. CIBC, First Caribbean. CIBC, First Caribbean.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. I get drunk, wake up, I'm wasted still. I realize the time that I wasted here. I feel like you can't feel the way I feel. I'll be up if you can't be right here. If you can't be right, yeah. I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. When I'm away from you, I miss your touch. You're the reason I believe in love. For me to trust, and I'm afraid that ain't no way that I can leave you stranded, cause you ain't never left me empty-handed, and you know that I can't live without you, so baby stay.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove on this Monday morning. We are talking about what's in the news. The phone lines are all lit up. Let's go back to the phone lines. We've been talking about a number of issues, including the apparent full return to face-to-face learning beginning this week on a school-by-school basis, we're told. The COVID numbers going down, and the government says it will gradually relax even more measures. And also the big headline in the National Guardian, Kay Forbes Smith, who's suing the government, says she's owed over more than $400,000 left on her contract, which doesn't expire until 2023, but she was terminated last year. All right, so, calls. Okay, call us back, 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Okay, let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You are on Morning Blend.
Hey, good morning, Dwight, and good morning to Pam, and good morning to those who wake up in the land of the living.
Good morning.
Dwight, I want to share something with you and listeners. I had a friend. I not had a friend, but still have. I call her a friend. She's an F&M. I can be real. She's a hardcore F&M. And last year, 2 weeks before the election, she said, Dwight, you know something? I getting ready to pack my bags up out of my office. I said, why you say that? I said, man, Minister, get this one. I thought Minister got this one. She said, no, man. She said, the writing on the wall. She said, I said that to say this to the people. Listen to me. Anytime you're politically appointed, all right, you're politically appointed now. You ain't going through the ropes. You politically appointed. You have to understand that there's no compellation that the next government leave you in place. And people need to understand that, right? And this has been going on in our country for years and decades. And people, I can't understand it. If I know at the end of the day, if the PLP put me on a job right now, and I know that the government changed, man, what I can stay there for, Dwight, to embarrass myself, to make myself look like a fool?
Do it. They are leaving, They're not there. They want their money, though. They don't want to leave the money on the table.
But Miss Palm, let me ask you a question. Out of all of those things that Dwight read on the radio as perks and benefits, come on, man. Let's be realistic, man. You know, whatever you was getting under the previous government when they was there, satisfied with that, man. You see, you know what happened? You know what happened?
Would you do that? Would you
know
do
what
that?
happened?
Would you do that if you have a contract? Would you do that if you have a contract? Let's say this government would to give you a contract, and even let's say it's for a year, and somehow they are voted out of office in May. Would you say, well, you know, for the country, I'm going to leave that money on the table?
Miss Palm, let me say this to you, and I being open and honest with you, or whoever listening. If the government gives DeWitt a contract, right, at the end of the day, when the government change, if I see what a lot of Bahamian people need to understand with these contracts, when you all see the writing on the wall and you all see the paradigm shift for the people against that government, it's time to say to yourself, hey, pinch yourself and have a reality check. We gone. And people don't understand that.
They are going to it. They want their money, though.
But Palm, last but not least, you would want your money, right, ma'am? But let me say this to you. Let me say this to a lot of Bahamian people. Sometimes they say, it's a saying, it's best to get out while the good is there. Because guess what? If you see this can of worms open up on the F&M government, some of these people them go wish that they had money for lawyers. But y'all have a good day.
Well, okay. Well, thank you very much. Who's this person? I don't know who that is. Okay. This one says here, how can we maintain anything when we are busy giving out contracts to our supporters?
I agree.
And
totally.
another person said that too. That this is really only hurting us. Yeah.
And it's contributing to our dire financial strains.
Yeah.
That's why we are in the position that it's like we cannot get our head above water with this deficit, because we are using money at the end of the day for stuff that don't benefit or don't help grow the country or produce revenue down the road.
You know, but I mean, some of the earlier callers mentioned it. A lot of people are being hired, definitely. I mean, where is that money coming from, right? We've been told so many things about how serious the situation is, but there's a lot of people getting some big jobs and big money.
Yeah.
What's going on?
And then that's why the taxes come. You know, taxes come in. You're trying to get taxes from here, from there, from everywhere to try to make this deficit look good when the money is just not being used for productive use.
Right. Yeah. The roads are still as horrible as ever.
Buildings not maintained, schools running.
Can't open. Yeah. It's awful.
Healthcare professionals don't have the tools that they need.
My oh my, but you're getting duty allowance though.
Yeah. That's why we can't increase the government revenue. But then again, I don't fault those people, Dwight. I do not fault them, because if you had the opportunity, wouldn't you take it?
Definitely duty allowance.
Okay.
Definitely that.
Definitely.
Oh man, I'm like drooling thinking about it.
Favor isn't fair. Maybe that's just what it is. Favor isn't fair.
15,000 a year. Wow.
Yeah. And how much we have when we 500?
500.
Yeah. And I
twice. I think it's 500. So is it 1,000? Yeah.
Yeah. So you see why someone may say, you know, if I only purchase something where my duty is $100 or something dollars, I won't declare this because I just left $400 on the table. I may as well use this when my duty is $700. Then I'll just say it's $500.
My goodness. This person says they're a payout of $400,000. Wow. When I think of how many hundreds of teachers and nurses could appreciate some of that, I cry for the injustice. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well.
Good morning.
Yeah, y'all, I hear y'all talking about those contracts and how persons are crying for their payout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Persons are home on administrative duties for months, and they're getting paid. To me, that's just as right as law.
Last term, we were paying for a financial secretary and an acting financial secretary.
My Lord.
We were paying both salaries.
Yes, that's a waste of money.
That's what you do when it's not your money.
Yes, say that again, Pam.
That's what you do when it's not your money.
Yeah.
You know, and I hear over 70 persons at home on administrative leave getting paid.
Yeah, this is awful. Thank you so much.
Secretaries and permanent secretaries down. And I understand they're bringing in old permanent secretaries who have been retired. They're bringing them back to pay them also.
Wow.
What's the foolishness?
All right.
It needs to stop. It needs to stop.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Some more
And it
messages.
can't stop, We just need the political will. Like I said,
No.
we just need to put it in legislation. These contracts will not go
It's not
over
gonna happen
1 year.
because everybody wants to be in these shoes.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I know.
So people say, well, I can't wait till it's my turn.
Yeah, I
And so
agree.
nothing is
I know.
changing because,
I
right?
know.
This,
and then,
this
you know,
works.
if someone is getting this contract, then the next person in this position would say, well, I deserve that too.
Yeah, well, of course. Of course. This person says here, when the PLPs were in opposition, they and their education shadow minister should have known about the horrible situations at the public schools. What were they doing then? Okay, I mean, yeah, perhaps they should have. But again, what about the government at the time, right? So, what could they do? Make noise about it and say this is not right. So, sure, if that's how you want to look at it, but what about the government at the time? Another one here. I think they know exactly what they're doing with these Senate appointments. Senate? Who's talking about that? Senators responsible for oversight of our laws. Really? If you appoint persons who don't have a deep knowledge of the law for the Senate, how will they identify any loopholes or conflicts? Remember how Fred Mitchell laughed at us and told us the Disclosure Act was a paper tiger and we couldn't make MPs disclose anything because there was no penalty? This place is broken by design. Okay. Another one here. Not sure how fast anything will change with this current government because of the PM's famous 7 words. Quote, that's not the priority of my government. Well, they all say that, all the PMs, right? And another one here. A contract is a contract. There should be a clause for dissolution. If there is a breach, then go to court. The Constitution guarantees us political freedoms. The government that we all pay taxes to cannot discriminate based on our politics. Okay, we'll explore that more after the break, and we'll talk about the UK, what's happening in the UK, and lessons that we could learn from this as well. A lot more Morning Blend after the news. Stay with us.
If you can be right here. If you can be right here. I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796 and now at 822. Time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Here's what's happening. We've got a high-pressure system across the islands, but streaming moisture will increase shower activity over the next few days. Beachgoers should exercise caution as well due to the risk of rip currents along Atlantic exposed beaches. For all areas today, your forecast calls for variably cloudy and mild conditions with a few isolated showers or possible thunderstorms through tonight. Small craft caution remains in effect for all areas. Temperatures getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows getting down to about 61 Fahrenheit, 16 Celsius. In your extended outlook, a surface trough is expected to move across the southeastern, then central Bahamas, while a frontal boundary should enter the northwest Bahamas by tomorrow and then stall through Wednesday. So for tomorrow and Wednesday, we're looking at variably cloudy, breezy conditions and scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. What's first for you comes first for us. And at 8:23, time for another check of the traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. Mile Butler Highway, as usual, your hot spot, but even hotter than usual today, well south of Fire Trail. The Fire Trail roundabout, you're going to be seeing that traffic in the northbound lanes on Mile Butler Highway, all the way up to Tonique Williams Darling Highway, backed up along Fire Trail as well, eastbound to that roundabout. And that's causing some major problems on Tonique Williams Darling Highway. The traffic's backed up there, westbound to the roundabout. And eastbound as well to the roundabout with Mile Butler Highway. So keep that in mind if you're in that area. Perhaps so keep that in mind. Gladstone Road, also heavy traffic. Northbound, just north of Fire Trail. You notice that in the northbound lanes up to JFK Drive. Carmichael seeing its share of issues. Westbound, heavy traffic heading to Coral Harbor Road, near Gladstone Road, and also near Mile Butler Highway and Faith Avenue, another hot spot. And then eastbound, just east of Fire Trail, all the way up to Blue Hill Road. You'll see that heavy traffic there. Cowpen Road, west of Faith Avenue, mainly eastbound. You'll see heavy traffic coming from that direction. And then there's Blue Hill Road from well south of St. Vincent Road. In fact, I'm also at the intersection with Cowpen, all the way up to Independence Drive this morning, especially between St. Vincent and Carmichael, and then north of Soldier and the roundabout with Independence Drive. Independence Drive, both directions. You definitely might want to avoid Independence Drive if you can. Both directions, heavy traffic, especially westbound, almost extending all the way to the East-West Highway roundabout and East Street, and between East-West Highway roundabout and Soldier Road, heavy traffic northbound and further up north, East Street and Robinson Road. Then there's more in eastern New Providence. We're seeing Eastern Road, heavy traffic from well east of Fox Hill, all the way from San Souci up to on the way to Montague. You're going to be seeing that heavy traffic there. And Prince Charles Drive at various spots, especially near Elizabeth Estates and at the major intersections. And Soldier Road from north of Robinson all the way up to the intersection with Bernard, Wolf, and Village. Just lots of traffic to deal with this morning. Good luck to you. That's your real-time traffic in your morning blend traffic alert, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank, banking reimagined.
There ain't no gold in this river that I've been washing my hands in forever. I know there is hope in these waters, but I can't bring myself to swim when I am drowning in this silence. Baby, let me in. Go easy, help me, baby.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. We're talking about what's in the news. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to be talking about the UK. Some interesting things coming out of there that we should be paying attention to. Some lessons that we could learn from what's happening with the Prime Minister, with the Queen, and so much happening there in the past couple of weeks. We continue to get your reaction to what's in the news, though. We've been talking about contracts, the major shuffling going on. Lots of people getting hired, but a lot of people have been fired as well. And folks are saying, well, hey, if you're a political appointee, you should know that your time, it's your time to go if your party is kicked out. But people have contracts, and the contracts are overlapping elections. And so what does that mean? Should you stick around? Should that be honored? Or should the government be forced to pay you out? And where's that money coming from? Although, where was the money coming from to pay you in the first place, right? So we're having discussions about all of that. Lots of interesting messages coming in. This person says here, I would not necessarily give a 1-year contract, but rather say that at the time of a government change, the contract becomes null and void.
No, you can renew the contract. You can give a 1 year and renew it on an annual basis.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also put into the rules that if an early election is called, we would only honor the contract up to the period that you have to give notice for termination of the contract. So, for instance, if the contract says that the employer has to give 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 months notice, and the employee has to give that notice as well, if an early election is called, then you will honor it up to that period.
Well, this person says, if you make these contracts no more than 1 year, I don't think you'll get the best and brightest for those positions.
I think you would. Because a lot of times these persons don't leave jobs. A lot of times. They don't necessarily leave jobs to go on these contracts. A lot of times these persons are not employed or not making the type of money that they want to make.
Can you take a 1-year contract to the bank? I mean, are they going to be receptive to this? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, an interesting point.
But if you have a political appointment, is that why you're taking the job to go to the bank? Because if it's a political appointment, the bank still wouldn't honor that, right? Because it's only for the time that you're in office, or only for the time that
you think
your
they go
political.
that deep into your stuff? Like, you clearly. No, I don't think they go.
No, they
You think so?
Banks want permanent. They tend to want to give loans to permanent employees, and that's why they would ask you for your slip.
Yeah,
they want to
But
see the
if
trend.
you've got a contract till 2023 in 2019, I mean,
That's
would
providing
be-
you're taking a 1-year loan. Because if you get a contract for 2023 and you have a loan for 15 years, that's not of no benefit to the bank.
Yeah.
Because if this contract ends on or before that date, they're left holding the bag.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying we have to come up with solutions to deal with this problem that we're having with these contracts, because they're going to continue. Persons having these contracts for the extended period of time, they're overlapping elections. If you call an early elections, and then they want to pay out for the contract when they're not even there doing the work.
Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on Morning Blend.
Good morning, Dwight and Palm. How are you guys?
Good morning.
Doing well. Good morning.
Let me ask you guys a question. Was K. Paul Smith permanent in pension book?
I don't know, but these contracts don't tend to be.
Well, what was her position? Was she a consultant or something?
She was the managing director of the Disaster Reconstruction Authority.
So you're telling me K. Paul Smith was making more than the MPs and almost as much salary as the Prime Minister, right?
I don't think you could look at it like that. I think what is the
You
idea?
have to look at it realistically, Palm.
No, I know, but the idea of these contracts is they're supposed to be professionals.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But my thing is, weren't she hired under the previous administration?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's who signed the contract for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the previous administration still the government?
Her contract expires in 2023.
Yeah.
Dwight, is it to you? Isn't this an unusual contract? This particular one?
Yeah,
With the
but
perks
see-
and all that she was receiving. Let's be realistic now.
No, we agree, but I think what is happening is successive administrations are doing the same thing. This is the problem. We got to get
Yeah.
to the root of the problem.
I don't know
it's
if
not
it's
just
unusual.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is
'cause-
unusual.
I mean, for us, it may be, but this what I think is happening in this case has happened in the past with other
that's what we
administrations.
mean. It's eyebrow raising.
Yeah.
But is it unusual? Sadly, it's not.
If you guys could produce a case actual similar to this one, then I think this one is actually unusual on its own.
No, but I mean, in the Parliament last administration, they they publicly mention some of
Mention
those
everything,
stuff.
all the perks, and so
Yeah.
those things happen. That's what you do to get the professional.
And so persons going into it will say, I want the same thing that person had. I want anything less.
Now, back to the schools, and what's the name of the school that y'all was speaking about earlier?
T.A. Thompson.
T.A. Thompson. All right. Jeff Lloyd, almost a year ago, was on Juan McCartney's show bragging about $50 million set aside to repair schools. So what happened to T.A. Thompson during that particular time with the $50 million? You could
all
go back
wondering.
and get a recording of Juan's show when he was there, when he said that himself. And Juan questioned him on that, about, you sure school's going to be ready? He said, yes, schools will be ready for September. But I mean, we still were in Waitrose, so school didn't have to open. So you had more than ample time for school to been repaired during the last government tenure, okay? Have a nice day, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. This person says here, let me help some young Bahamians. You have to start out from the premise that the country is a ripoff. This contract proves it. They are only out to fleece the treasury. She knows this contract is immoral, and the politicians who approved it are all immoral. Okay. Hey, well, I guess we're going to leave that there. We will continue to follow this and see what happens. I'm sure there's going to be much more reaction to this over the next day or so. But we'll see what comes out of it. We'll see. And whether anybody's learning, because this is not the first time we've been here. And, right? And will they listen to us about the contracts? And will anything change at all? I suspect no. No.
And I think at the end of the day, you really can't blame so much the individual. If you walk into your employer and you tell your employer, I want this, and I could be the only one that opt out of this contract. You cannot opt out of this contract. And the employer says, yeah, okay, and sign it. Like, who do you blame?
Well, you don't know any type of employer around here who will agree to that.
That's
last
my
part.
point, though. But who do you
otherwise,
believe?
right?
Right?
Yes.
Was there a gun put to the employer's head to say, well, you had to do this? Or was it under duress? Right? I think we have to blame our politicians.
Yeah.
And either they don't know any better, or they know better and they're just abusing their powers.
I think we know which one it is, but or is it a sad combination of both? Maybe it is both. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're looking at some of the issues in the UK, some things that we could learn some lessons from. Will we? We'll be back with Morning Blend. Stay with us.
There ain't no gold in this river that I've been washing my hands in forever. I know there is hope in these waters, but I can't bring myself to swim when I am.
How important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
There's only one way to have a better morning. How? Start your mornings the best way with our 2 for $6 breakfast sandwiches at Wendy's. For a limited time, choose any 2 of your favorite breakfast sandwiches, including the fresh Strachan sack muffin, honey buttermilk chicken biscuit, double sausage muffin, or the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. Wash it all down with our cold brew shake or coffee. Better mornings always start at Wendy's. Wendy's, different inside and out. Excludes airport locations.
I have to take a business trip, and I want John to keep things running while I'm away. How can I ensure he keeps within budget? Maybe I need to get him a camera to record everything he does 24/7. Maybe not. Instead, get RBC Credit Share, the RBC credit card feature that allows you to easily and safely share funds with employees for free, and you set the spending limit, so you're always in control. Find out more at rbc.com/Caribbean/credit share. Special conditions apply.
The Water and Sewage Corporation extends an invitation to its valued customers with past due balances to feel free to visit their offices at the Mall and Marathon and the head office on University Boulevard to speak with a customer representative who will be happy to assist with your account concerns.
Best rates, no delays. Best rates, no delays.
BTC gives more savings on the best fiber internet. It's super fast with super savings in every package. Compare and see for yourself. Enjoy up to 150 megabits per second plus 157 TV channels and unlimited home phone minutes for only $99.99.
Best rates, no delays.
Visit a BTC store to sign up for the best internet experience on the Bahamas' best fiber network. Conditions apply.
Maria is going away to college and she needs access to money. But I'm worried about her spending. Maybe I can create an alarm that goes off every time she overspends. Or I'll just move in with her. Hi, Rumi. Or just get RBC Credit Share, the RBC credit card feature that allows you to easily and safely share funds with family members for free. And you set the spending limit so you're always in control. Find out more at rbc.com/Caribbean/credit share. Special conditions apply.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Love, love, love.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. And before we get to our discussion about some of the things happening in the UK that we could learn lessons from, this message came before the break, right before the break, as we were on break. Why do Bahamian people have such a lack of understanding of the role of consultants in the administration of government? There's nothing wrong with K. Forbes Smith's contract. It is lower than what is given to most foreign consultants. However, we know that some Bahamians think that Bahamians are second rate to foreigners.
I think to that texter, and maybe maybe the Bahamian people should be enlightened about the role of consultants.
And enlightened as to what foreign consultants get as well.
Right, and the reason why we don't know what the foreign consultants get, because every time Bahamians ask for it, the politician wouldn't disclose it. You'd have to wait until another administration comes in before they selectively disclose the contents of some of those contracts. And I don't think, for me, it's so much the amount as it is value for money. If you're making that kind of a money and you're also getting those perks and you're working for a company, you have to produce. What is the job description? And if you're making that kind of money and with all of those perks and you do not produce, then you'll be terminated. So I have no problem, no envy, no jealousy about the amounts on these contracts. I think what happens is we are paying out these contracts, and these ministries and these corporations are the same as they were when they went in, or sometimes even worse. So the question is, are we getting value for money?
Yes. And we know that the people who are out there doing the work are severely underpaid most often. and
that's
there's
probably
no
why,
discussion on doing anything about that.
And that's probably why you get pushed back in a
Yes,
lot of these
absolutely.
government ministries, because they're career civil servants who work and they understand and they went to school and trained for this.
Yes.
And then someone comes off the street, gets a high-paying job,
Government appointee.
try to order them around, and so they push back on that.
Yeah.
And I just think at the end of the day, we gotta get value for the money. We have to see like what was done over the period to justify that kind of a payment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see. I suspect we'll be talking like this for years to come before there's any real movement. Boy. Let's take this call quickly and then we're going to get on to what we wanted to talk about now. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
And Pam, it is?
Yes, it is.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Listen, Dwight and Pam, I totally disagree with continuing these contracts simply because these people don't want to stay in position for the sake of no contract. They are staying in positions simply to frustrate the process of the government. These people, listen, if you look at what is going on right now, nothing is moving. People can't get their business license. People can't get tax compliance certificates. Nothing is happening in the system. And why is it taking so long for these things to come to fruition? I mean, you have people that are just sitting there and all they're doing is frustrating the government process, and all they want people to do is get angry. You have CLPs across the country right now that are angry because nothing is happening. And, all they're being told is wait, because these people are sitting in these positions. They have these government-appointed jobs and stuff, and they're not doing their work. They're not doing their job. They're not causing the country to flow the way it should be because they're frustrating the process. You need to see what Menace did when they won. He fired everybody. He just Ingram did the same thing. Just fight. You have 2 days. Bring the car. Turn it in. Bring the keys. They fired everybody, but the PLP is trying to be decent. They're trying to work out a way that these people could stay on and everything balances out. But, some people you just can't work with. Their thing is they're not for your government, and no matter what, they're not going to help your government to succeed. So what you do? You don't touch their salary, just move them. Move them and put them somewhere where they cannot interfere with the operation of your government. Other than that, your agenda will not get crossed. So
Don't touch the salary.
Huh?
Don't touch the salary? With that, and then you still have to pay someone to replace them, and right, we can't afford all of this.
Well, something needs to happen. Menace fired them, Ingram fired them. You just got to do what you got to do. You have to get your government to function. This country could go ahead much faster if you unplug the lines with these people who are just sitting there frustrating your government because they're not a part of your government and they don't support the government. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as you said, we're going to continue to follow that. All right. So, as we mentioned, there's some interesting things going on in the UK, and we've been reporting on it with the shenanigans. Is that a good word? With the Prime Minister over COVID.
Partygate.
Partygate, as they're calling it, right? and we've similar stories closer to home. But the way it's being handled is interesting. And then even with the Queen celebrating her anniversary, 70th anniversary, some interesting things that she had to say.
26 years of age.
Right? She was
When
very young.
yeah.
And now 95 now? Yeah. And so she says she wants Camilla to be named Queen when
I think that's
Charles
fair. Yeah, I think that's
succeeds her.
fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. She has supported Charles. A lot of people didn't like what happened in the case with Diana, but she has been there, and like they said, she's just digged in and just supported Charles.
Yeah.
Stayed out of controversy, and
yes, now.
Yeah.
So
but
that's
think about it. People get divorced all the time.
Indeed.
And sometimes it's bad situations.
Yeah. And this is true. They've been in love for decades, apparently.
Yeah. And the system is probably to blame.
Yes.
For trying to stop that.
Indeed.
Right? So I think it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's earned it. Is my opinion. She's earned it.
So we're talking about that. I want to get your views on that. And I'm talking about Boris Johnson, the prime minister who has been, it's just been challenge after challenge after challenge. It's just
His
wild.
supporters have this operation going on, Save Big Dog.
Is that what they call him?
Save Big Dog.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to last, though. The next election is 2024. I think the challenge that they have with what's going on is that, like persons are saying, it's not so much that you had the parties, because it seemed the trivial. The fact is that you were mandating that people follow the restrictions and the protocols when you yourself weren't doing it. And then how he handled it. Initially there was no party. And then it came back to, there may have been some parties. And then they found out that you attended. He didn't know it was a party. He attended a work function. So I think people are upset. The British people are upset. And what I like about their system is those members of parliament, they listen to the people.
Yes.
And so because they listen to the people, and if the people are upset and you're falling in the polls, then we got to get rid of you.
Their constituents, they listen to them, and they will, it doesn't matter whether you are of my party, we're going to tell you how we feel.
Yeah.
This is, of course, they have the luxury of not having everybody in Parliament be part of the cabinet, and so the backbenchers are very powerful and very vocal. And we would not see something like that here, sadly. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about the lessons that we can learn from this. The most vocal people, the people with the biggest insults during these debates, have not been the opposition. It's been members of his own party. It's shocking to see. But as you say, they are speaking for the people. Well, why do you think we don't get that here, Pam? That we should allow our members of parliament to freely speak their minds and speak for their constituents?
I think it's a different setup that they have there. For instance, they have this 1922 Backbenchers Committee that was formed, and that was to keep check on the executive. We don't have a check on the executive.
We could, though.
Yeah. We could, but we don't. And so what happens is the Conservative Party has been in power longer than the Labour Party. And the reason why they're in power so long is because they deal with their leaders. So here you had David Cameron. He put into the manifesto that he wanted to have a referendum in order to determine whether they would remain in the European Union. He lost. So he had to go. Not because David Cameron thought that was the honorable thing to do. He knew if he didn't, then they would have a vote of no confidence, and he didn't want to go out like that. They selected Theresa May, and she was supposed to deliver on Brexit. She couldn't. Again, she had to go, not because she didn't want to, because on the day she did it, she cried. She didn't want to, but if she didn't, they would have had a vote of no confidence against her. And so that's why there's so much uproar. You know, David Cameron left, Theresa May left. Why is Boris Johnson still holding on? But they need to be 54 members of parliament that write to the chairman of the 1922 committee for a vote of no confidence. And then if that happens, there need to be about half of what, I think they have 300 and some MPs on the Conservative side. More than half of that should vote for him to go, and then he'd have to go. But he's trying to hold on. So they have this Susan Gray report that came out. The police is also investigating it because they have several pictures and stuff. So he's buying time. So he said he's sorry, and he is trying to implement changes, and hoping that when this police report comes out, even though it would be damning, he would still have some time. But I think he's gone. I don't think he's going to take them into the next election. But they just don't, a lot of the members of parliament just don't want to do it right now. Let's get through this COVID. Let's finish up the legislation for leaving Brexit. And then I think by 2024, they may have a new leader.
Yeah, and what do you think is going to be the outcome of the election after all of this? It's been a lot.
Well, see, they have fixed election date, but they can have elections prior to, and he would need to have, I think, as a 2/3 or 75% majority in parliament to have an election. But what they do is they change their leaders. So they don't wait. They will not take a baggage into the election.
Right.
If they see that the public is not happy with what's going on, they're not going to let you take them into that election.
So, and if they see that you've been making lots of mistakes and the public, as you say, the public's not happy, and they hear whispers that you're going to try to do something that they think will be
But
detrimental to them.
they cannot call a snap election.
Right.
No.
So, okay. So that
They
is
stopped
very
that
different.
in 2010. You know how that happened? David Cameron got with the Conservative Party got the most vote under David Cameron, but they didn't have the majority. And so they had to form a coalition with Nick Clegg of the Liberal Democrats. And Nick Clegg was concerned that they would call a snap election and catch him off guard. So as a part of his negotiating tool, he said you need to have a fixed election date.
Yeah.
And so today, the UK has a fixed election date. If you want to call a snap election, you have to go to Parliament and call a snap election.
Progress.
Which is good because, Boris is trying to do that early on, but they wouldn't in the last. So you need Parliament. And it makes sense. Like, why you want to call the snap election anyhow?
Yeah.
Why do you want to do that?
So let's get your reaction to all of this, folks. What do you think? And especially with the Boris Johnson situation, the lessons that we could learn here. And why do you think we still feel the need to offer everybody from the governing party a position of some sort, essentially silencing the backbenchers? Do we have any backbenchers right now?
I think one of the concerns with us is the amount in the salary. So members of Parliament make $28,000. And for a lot of persons, let's say you're a lawyer and you leave your profession to be a member of Parliament and you're only making $28,000. So it's a supplement. I personally don't have a problem with increasing that, provided Parliament operate like it should. Like there needs to be committees. So when you have stuff happening, people, particularly in government, are called before the committee to answer to it. So for instance, we had the situation with the John Canoe saga with the video, right? It was done in secret. You put a video production out there that was not up to par. We still don't know who did it. And you're redoing it. So it's too much secrecy. See, Parliament, whichever committee responsible for that would have called those persons in, questioned them. But we don't like that transparency.
No.
And so we like to keep things secret. But I do not support increasing that salary, but you're not functioning, Parliament is not functioning as it should. When you have these problems, you sit before the committee, you answer questions, and then people make amendments and adjustments to what they do in order for things to operate more smoothly.
Yeah.
And if we're not prepared to do that, then I say continue making $28,000 because that's the contribution you're making.
Wow. All right. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us. Facebook us. Text us 422-4796. This text here, when asked about our Prime Minister slipping out during quarantine, the press secretary said that, quote, the Bahamian people have moved on and do not want to hear of it anymore. Can you imagine if this were the UK? Poor Boris, if he were here, he'd get a free ride. It's better in the Bahamas. Well...
See, I think it goes back to Dwight, like even during the last administration where Bahamians were asked to do certain things where hotels and their guests weren't.
Yes.
That could never happen in jurisdictions like the UK. And the thing is, if you're going to ask us to do it, you have to be prepared to do it. And everybody that resides in the country must be prepared to do it, or else don't ask us to do it.
Yeah, yeah. This message here, Queen Consort. Yes, well, they're still going to call her Queen. Though. They don't say Queen Consort Camilla. It'll be Queen.
But that's the full title.
But yes, it is. Because she's not the Queen, because there would be a king. Yeah. But yes, Queen yes, okay. This person, oh boy, I don't know if I can read this on the air. She should not be Queen Consort. She's a home wrecker, and they use another word. That's like a garden tool. And so,
yeah, people have those. Yeah, they're on the divide. There's some who feel, I feel that. Yeah. Allow her to. She supported him. She's been a support to him. And it's been many years.
Is love from the 70s straight on.
Yes.
Boy, this person here says, I'm so, what now? So I hear what Pam's saying. Sounds like she wants a Congress. I mean, we need a Congress. No, we have
I'm
the
talking to you
system.
about
We're
what the
talking
UK
about
is
system.
doing,
It's
Westminster.
the same thing. They have parliament just
Yes,
like we do.
yeah.
Right? We don't have to have all the people in the government sector, in the government, all the government MPs holding a position. They don't need to
Yeah.
all be in cabinet or the executive director or, right? They don't need to do that. We can limit the number of cabinet ministers and allow these MPs to speak freely. But as Pam says, perhaps the money is the issue. Which one would you prefer? Would you prefer to pay the MPs more so they can speak more freely and even call out the smaller number of cabinet ministers? Or do you want everybody to have a good paying job?
But see, you can pay them more, but then the
They're
executive
doing
may
it.
still put them up as a part of the cabinet. And unless you put into the
Yeah,
law
to
or
limit
the
it.
constitution
Absolutely.
that the cabinet should only contain
Yes.
X amount.
Limit that
Yeah.
number, and you cannot be on any committee or heading any board or heading whatever, or you cannot be, right? Just limit that so that you can work. Your job is to be the best lawmaker you can be.
And also
and to hold the
this-
cabinet accountable.
And also to sit on the committees.
Yes.
Where you will scrutinize issues
Every
that
single
happen
thing.
relating to your committee. And so we will see it and we can improve upon it for the betterment of the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But they're going to say, I love your ideas. I think these issues need to be drawn out in public and investigated. You know what could never happen, tourist gambling and casinos and Bahamians not able to. Let's fix that.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't you see the speaker advocating for her MP salary along with the speaker's salary?
See, I just, like I mentioned, I don't want you just to increase your salary, but then you continue to do what you're doing now. We need committees. We need to address the issues that happen in the public that we have to build upon and make better. We need to do those things, or else I don't see the need to increase it.
This person saying, even the UK gets rid of the monarchy, Bahamians will... when did they do that? We wish they would. Bahamians will still keep their colonial... Oh, you were saying even when they do. Oh, even when the UK gets rid of the monarchy, Bahamians will still keep their colonial trappings. Brainwashed. Okay. Perhaps. Perhaps. Let's see if we can get one more call in there. And before we go to the news. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well.
Tom?
Hi, good. I'm good, thanks.
You sound pretty good, but time is running up. So what I'm going to say, I think we wishing, and it's not going to happen. Believe me, because the system what we have, it benefits the people who win, and the ones what about to come. So always remember, it's a good wish.
No, see, people always say that, but I don't accept that. I
Keep
don't
hope
accept
alive.
that.
Keep
you
hope alive.
have a say in this. Why?
Hope, what's that?
No. Why do you say those things? People always say these things. We
Why?
can change
Because you know
this.
why? Because we don't see it. It is not going to happen. They like it the way it is.
Yeah, but do you like it?
No, but guess what? I'm one person. But always remember, we elect the same people over and over. The same fellow was said that Bamsey had insurance. He's now the prime minister of the country today. And the fellow then dead who with the place going down under. But we elect him. So it tells you it goes on. Life goes on. That's how I look at it now. Okay?
Okay.
You all have a good one.
Same to you.
Boy, it's depressing. That's, everyone says that. Oh, they will never allow this. It'll always be. No, it doesn't have to be like that. It just means that you're comfortable with it being like this.
I just think people don't feel that they have an avenue to affect change. Like like he mentioned, he's one person.
Yeah.
How does he make it happen when he is not empowered to make it happen?
He's not one, though. He's not one, right? There's many of us talking like this, and we cannot have that defeatist attitude that it'll never change. We have to come together and show our displeasure with the way things are going. Are we prepared to do that?
What do you want us to do?
That's a whole other show. It's time for the news. When we come back, Morning Blend Business, we're going to be talking about the increasing number of companies that are going cashless. And for those who are like, what's happening? We'll talk about that and why you don't have to be afraid. And more of what's making news in the business world in the country. All of that coming up in Morning Blend Business right after the news. Stay with us.
In my
forever. I know there is hope in these waters, but I can't bring myself to swim when I am drowning in this silence. Baby, let me in. Go easy on me, baby. I was still a child, didn't get the chance to feel the world around me. I had no time to choose what I chose to do. So go easy on me.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Monday, February 7th, 2022. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Straw along with Pamela Musgrove. This morning, we've got a lot to talk about in Morning Blend Business. We're going to begin with the move to cashless systems. More and more companies making the announcement. We heard that NAD, Nassau Airport Development Company, is doing so as well. And in this first part of the program today, we're going to be talking about that. Jeffrey Beckles is with Island Pay, and he's joining us this morning. Jeffrey Beckles, always a pleasure. Great to have you with us. Are you there, Jeff? Yes. Okay, we're going to get with Jeff in a second on this discussion. And later we're going to talk more about what's in the news, business news, including a lot of attention. This is getting a lot of attention. Crystal Cruises, another ship seized in Bahamian waters, this time by Bahamian authorities. So many challenges they've been having since announcing they're bankrupt. We'll get to that and more in a bit. But now let's join Jeff Beckles. Good morning, sir. Great to have you with us.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning,
go.
everyone. It's good to be with you
Good
again,
morning.
Pamela.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us as always. All right, so we're hearing more and more of this. I know you've been on before talking about it, but more and more companies are making the announcement that they're going cashless. Of course, a lot of people are panicked about this. A lot of people are very concerned that we don't have a lot of people who are traditionally banked on there or don't have credit cards and debit cards, and what this is going to mean for them. Let's talk about it and what companies like Island Pay are doing to make things easier. But the pushback we do get from this, a lot of people very, very, very concerned and wondering what the motives are here. Of course, for so many others, this seems like a no-brainer and easier, going to make life easier for many. But what are you hearing from people? What's the reaction? And should those who are panicking about this really be panicking?
Well, good morning again. Let me just sum it up in 2 words: financial inclusion, which you have heard me share with you on a number of platforms over the past year and a half. There's no need for anyone to be panicking, right? This is not the end of the world. This is a part of the natural transition we have seen accelerated by COVID in the last couple of years. We've been talking about the world going cashless for several decades now, and now we're becoming more aware of that reality. So there's no need to be in a state of panic. Let me go back to what I said earlier about the 2 words, financial inclusion. Alan Pay's objective has always been to enable there to have the ability to put in the hands of Bahamians, average citizens who would not have otherwise had access to some of the financial tools like debit cards and credit cards, etc. Our commitment has always been finding easy solutions to allow everyday Bahamians to have access through our digital wallet, through our MasterCard program, prepaid cards, reloadable cards. These are the solutions that everyday Bahamians can actually rely on to participate in a very transitory ecosystem, from cash to cashless, from fiat or paper money to digital currencies. And this is what we are seeing happen. And we're very happy to be a part of this transition. And so, no, there's no need to be panicking, because this is a part of our adoption that we are being required to fulfill. Globally, there are trillions of dollars today, as much as $7 to $8 trillion a day, being settled using digital instruments like debit cards, digital wallets. Some of the more popular ones, Apple Pay or Google Pay. These are platforms that are being used every day. And so the Bahamas is now beginning to make efforts to close the gap. And Island Pay has been very happy to be a part of that. And yes, Dwight, the panic can only be leveled by 2 basic things. One, continued education, and we need to talk about this more frequently. We have known for decades and lamented the fact that the average Bahamian attunement to financial tools and how to use financial tools has been a gap for us for a while, and it's been an Achilles. But we can't slow down now. We must improve our communication. We must improve our education and really understand what the consumer needs to know and hear their concerns and be able to answer their questions very directly. So there's no need to be concerned. NAD is just the latest major entity. Atlantis did it several years ago, and there was the same kind of response. Oh, what are we going to do now? And there's been significant adoption. Bahama has adopted a cashless environment. Many hundreds of Bahamians participate and patronize the businesses at Bahama, and we adopted. NAD is now the latest of the major entities, but NAD is also in keeping with global practices around the world from all airports. And so it's not a step back, but it's a giant step forward for us. And I think these are very good times for us.
Pam's dying to ask you a question, but let me just ask this before we get to Pam.
I just felt the vibe. I knew it was coming, right? All right, here we go.
Do we know here how many? I mean, I see that in other parts of the world, they know the numbers as to how many people are banked or unbanked. Do we have an understanding of that?
I think, and Palm, you can probably chime in on this too. In the Bahamas, we have not kept real numbers about unbanked Bahamians, right, or unbanked residents. What we do know, we've constantly referred to the group as the informal economy, and when we do that, that's a pretty large group. It's a very vague group, really. It's a very subjective termination we use. But in that informal economy are many of the unbanked. And by the way, unbanked doesn't necessarily mean that you or I may not have the ability to have a standard relationship with the bank as many others do, right? Or one of those groupings where, well, we're not going to consider you at this point. There are many Bahamians who have chosen to be unbanked. because one, they either don't want to be bothered, two, they don't want to pay fees, exorbitant fees, any number of reasons why they don't want to be considered banked. I had a professional person tell me the other day, I can't wait to become unbanked, right? I want to detach from the traditional banking system. And so there are many people who behave like that and think like that. So when we start talking about unbanked, it's a very ambiguous term, but it means people who simply don't have a standard working relationship with a traditional bank.
You know what I think sometimes? This is my humble opinion. I think a lot of times we do things without thorough research, and we do it just to tick the box. It's almost it's akin to me like staging. You know, when you when someone wants to sell a house, and they would go to the furniture store and they would put different furniture in the house so the buyer can see what it looks like. But the furniture does not come with the house. When you get the house, you can get a bare frame. So we do things without that proper research. Like you mentioned, there is no number out there that we know of the unbanked, right? We do away with the pennies. And because people aren't complaining, we think it's okay. But we don't consider those persons who can least afford it, those persons who count those pennies and save those pennies. When you go to the U.S., the great United States, they're still giving you pennies. And you have to tell them, okay, I can't keep the pennies, so you go and you keep it because I can't use it in the Bahamas. So there are, let me give you two extremes to this, right? There are a lot of people in this country. You mentioned cashless at Atlantis, cashless at Bahama, cashless at the airport. How many people in this country have never been to Atlantis or will never go to Atlantis or Bahama or go to the airport to travel? And so we're using those as our gauge. Then I think we're going to exclude a large segment of the population. Then another thing, we have no formal financial literacy course in this country. Like, I would have thought if you want to do something like this from a policy perspective, that you would have, it doesn't even have to be an extensive, but start small with financial literacy so you can talk to people about finances so they understand when these things happen, how they can maneuver and go through. And then you have the bank accounts. There's some banks, if you have a balance under $500, they're charging you, right? My mom will never go on the system. She just can't operate it. She has to go to the bank and get her monies. And sometimes I found out she would go there and just go take $20 or $50 off the account. I was like, Mommy, what you doing? What are you doing? She said, yeah, that's what I wanted. So I went there and I did it. And to exclude all of that, it's just, we just continue to do things without thinking through it thoroughly or preparing people to take them where we want to. And then on the high end of it, right? With the banks, I remember where I bank, the most you can transfer is $1,500 in one day. That's the most you were able to transfer. They have increased it now to $5,000. So if you're going cashless, I should be able to transfer an unlimited amount of sums of money to any place within the banking system that I need to transfer. And you should not limit me. Just like how I could write a check for any amount of money, I should be able to do that transfer as well. You should not limit me to doing that. But right now, we are limited.
Taken. Now, at the risk of getting in, because some of what you talked about, while it is true, that's the regulatory side, and which I think we need to encourage feedback from the wider population so that the persons who set regulatory policy understand how this migration needs to take place and what needs to happen in those various steps. But I think to the larger context, you mentioned the larger entities, right? Like Bahama, like Atlantis, like NAD. There are smaller ones, Johnny Canoe and others who are considering doing the same thing. In fact, right now, CBS does both, right? And several other retailers in the Bahamas are doing the same thing. But then we must also take a look at what's happening in the context of, we are now trying to rebirth tourism. We're now trying to figure out how do we reposition ourselves. And then we talk about restarting the economy. Let me just speak to that in the larger context, and then I'll come back to a point that you made earlier, because I think it's very, very important. restarting our economy, which is heavily dependent on tourism, we are now importing an extraordinarily sophisticated digital customer coming to the Bahamas. They're coming from jurisdictions that have already adopted digital tools. We can't lose sight of that, because if we're going to restart our economy, which is heavily dependent on tourism, and we're having a totally different tourism customer now, we have to be attuned to that customer as well, because how that customer is able to interact with our local economy has everything to do with how successful we are in jumpstarting our economy, heavily dependent on tourism. In addition to that, on the opposite side of the table, there has to be a constant understanding of how will these changes impact the everyday consumer. Now, there is an assumption that this is going to be difficult for the average Bahamian consumer to participate. And my question then would be, why is it so difficult? Why would it be difficult for them to participate when the instruments that they need, the tools that they need, are being provided, right? So you talked about your mom going to the bank to stand online. Well, the bank is saying, I don't want people in the bank. We need to push you to a platform in order to do the same thing. Well, the tools for many grandparents and let's deal with grandparents, right? Those tools are readily available and are quite easy to use. And so there's a careful balance. That's the reason why Island Pay has provided the solutions that we have, where you can actually gain access to our tools. And when I tell you it is as simple as ABC, it is. We are the ones then required to look at the needs of the consumer, of the merchant, based on the regulatory framework, and say, how do we provide these tools and get them into the hands of the everyday Bahamian so that there is a mechanism that supports this transition? Because 95% of consumers in the Bahamas will tell you, we love to handle cash. Well, guess what? We then have to recognize that that's a significant learning curve to affect that culture, to change that culture. And the best way to do that is easy access, very practical solutions, and that's what Island Pay is doing.
You know, I went to a retailer a few months ago, and when they gave me the bill, they asked me if I'm paying cash or card. And I said, I was using a debit card. I said, card. And they said, well, if I'm paying by the card, it's going to be higher than if I pay via cash. So I'm saying all of those things need to be looked at when we talk about the cash and the card.
It's supposed to be against the law.
One of the things, it is supposed to be, it is against the law. And consumers also need to become more savvy too. We should be reporting businesses that do that, because it is against the law. They're breaking the law. No consumer, no merchant has the ability to charge you more because you're using a digital means of payment or a credit card, debit card, right? And so rather than calling the radio stations from 6 in the morning until 7 in the evening to complain about it, we should be reporting them to the central bank. We should be reporting them to the various entities, because it is against the law. So we do have rights as consumers, and we need to begin to voice our concerns in areas like that. So it's one of those things where consumer education, I think it goes back to the point that you made. We have lamented this issue for decades. We have to become more aggressive and intentional about educating the Bahamian consumer about his or her rights, so that there's an appreciation that, look, I do have a right, and you cannot do this to me.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to talk more about Island Pay in a bit, but people are in general concerned about cashless systems with the banking system and the problems going on there. Got quite a few text messages suggesting this. Let me read a couple here. This person says, I'm all in for going cashless, but who's going to address the atrocious bank charges we're forced to pay when we use our debit cards? That's one. And another one here. When they make everything cashless, then the systems crash or the internet crashes. What do you do? And that happens a lot when you go, especially after a power outage. A lot of people will tell you the system's not working. can't take your cards or right
After your trolley is filled with stuff.
right. We've got a lot of issues, Jeff.
Had that experience last
Oh
year.
yes,
Thank you very much.
it happens all the time. All the time.
But let me just the three quick things in those texts, right? Bahamians, by and large, and forget the fact that we're talking about going digital for the moment, but as consumers, historically, we have not exercised the power of consumerism. We don't resist often enough. We complain, but we take no action. So when we start talking about, well, who's going to deal with the exorbitant fees that we get charged? Well, guess what? That's a consumer-based issue. It's a reality, and it's a painful reality. But what are we prepared to do about it as consumers?
I think people complain.
If I leave my money there and I keep my money there and I keep paying the bill that I get, then every time I pay the bill, I'm giving consent, right? So what digital currencies then allow the consumer to use that same money at a far less cost to him or her. That's why it is so important for education, because digital currencies require less expense to manage on both ends. So therefore, one of the ways to do that is to move digital, move quickly. But by the same token, the larger point is, I can't complain about company X bad service and then keep paying the bill every month as a subscriber, right? Because remember now, some of these entities are not required. They're subscriptions. We choose to do business with these entities we complain about. So please make sure you understand that. Then to the second texter, there's always risk. But there are significant risk mitigation steps taken with regard to platforms being able to operate. Something goes wrong, there's redundancies built in. And that's too part of the education, because that builds confidence in the consumer's mind that, you know what, if something goes wrong, the system is not going to go down for a long time. There's an opportunity for it to fail over, and it's called system redundancies. I too went to a store recently and shopping, and the lady said to me, if you're paying by card, our card system is down. Now, I get it, that is a card machine, but the payment network wasn't down, right? But I had to wait in line after being in the store for a while, only to get there to be told, you have to go get cash. So that too is a system maintenance responsibility that is on the operator, because there are redundancies in place to mitigate all of that. And so those things exist. We talked about reliable power. And in the Bahamian context, we talk about electricity only as it relates to our air conditioning or the comfort in the summer, etc., right? But we must understand, part of the reason we are putting so much emphasis on reliable, cost-effective energy is because we cannot operate an economy effectively and efficiently without reliable, cost-effective. So when we start talking about this, we must think well beyond the comfort of AC or the fact that I can't watch TV or whatever. This is the reality of needing reliable power is of national concern, because it underpins everything we need to do in our economy. So it's not just about AC and comfort in the summer and all of that.
All right, so we've got a question here about safety, about digital wallet systems and fraud and money being protected. Tell us about that, and should that be a concern as well?
It's a concern as far as we typically say to people, you have a digital identity. How you manage it and keep it safe is really up to you. If you share it, if you share your passwords, if you share your access, chances are you're going to increase the chances of you getting ripped off. If you use other people's free Wi-Fi, for instance, it's a dangerous thing to do. Listen, when I travel, I don't even use airport Wi-Fi. I don't use hotel Wi-Fi.
I do it, Jeff.
Okay.
I must do it.
because I use my own data. Why? Scary. Because I don't know who's sitting on the other side of that free Wi-Fi.
Wow.
Okay, some guy with a phishing device say, oh, free Wi-Fi, go ahead, you get all your, and you see, look at the bars and you see, oh, this is really, really great, it's fast. But somebody on the other side could be phishing my information straight off my phone. So we the same way, you don't sign a blank check and give it to someone. The same way you don't put your passwords in certain places. You don't, expose you don't transmit over text messaging, or you don't put your bank accounts and so forth in an email and stuff. We're simply saying to you, do the same thing with your digital ID. In the first instance, when you sign up for a digital asset, is your cell phone number, right? That becomes a part of your security footprint as you build, right? So we say to people, don't share your passwords, don't use free Wi-Fi, and whether it's your girlfriend or your best friend, don't share it. Once you cross that boundary of personal responsibility, you leave yourself wide open. And it's no different than what you would do now. You walk around with a pocket full of cash and people see that. What do you think they're going to do? They can tell somebody who can try to rob you. No different.
So in the case of fraud with the banks, if money's left your card or even your account by reason of fraud, they will compensate you. Is that similar for the digital wallet?
No, if in case of money's leaving your wallet due to fraud, well, obviously we're gonna always have the ability to go back and say who did what to who, right? And if it is your mistake, if you sent money to the wrong account, or if you loan your password out, even to the person you feel you could most trust, we do have the ability to investigate and see where the error could have been made, and if it was on your side of the fence, well,
I understand that, but what if it wasn't? I know of several years ago, Europe, when I came back, something happened, and so money's left my account. So the bank froze the account. They gave me the money back because I wasn't there at the time when it happened. They reimbursed me the funds. They froze the account, so I had to go and get a new card. So I got my funds back. I'm saying in the case of a digital wallet, if some type of fraud like that happens.
We have the ability to freeze the account, but one of the beautiful things about digital wallet is on your phone, you have the ability to close your account right then the minute you sense that something's wrong. You don't have to call you don't have to call us, in other words. You can do that right there from your own phone. And then you provide us some information with regard to what you think may be a suspicious transaction on your account, and then we have means of assisting you in determining what may have happened.
So you wouldn't reimburse. There's no reimbursement in the digital wallet.
One never reimburses before we find out what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's always an investigation, and if that investigation points us to turning it over, what you have to do, because it means then a criminal act has taken place. So the point is, to your question, there are mechanisms in place to help you determine what would have happened to your account.
Yeah. All right. We tell us more about how Island Pay works. We've got a question here from a small business person. Are there fees for small businesses who want to use Island Pay? Tell us about that.
That would come under our merchant solutions. So yes, we do have the ability to make those services available, and you can give us a call, or you can email us at partnerships@islandpay.com. So yes, we do have business merchant solutions that will fit your business.
All right. So another text here. It's a small business owner who signed up for one of your competitors, and they're saying the monthly charges are high. Will this be an impediment for especially small businesses who want to offer this service to their customers?
Okay, ask the question again. So signed up with one of our competitors and said that the fees were high.
They're saying their monthly charges were high, and fees to transfer funds from your wallet to your bank account, as well as additional fees. This is too high, especially for small businesses.
Well, obviously they didn't come to us. So the only thing I can say is if you'd come to us, you wouldn't have that issue. But fees for digital wallets, whether it's merchant or individual, should really not be considered high relative to what you're paying now, because again, digital transactions should cost you far less. So you should not be paying. Well, again, I don't want to try to define what their definition of high is, because high is relative, right? Yeah. But I can say this: if you're using digital settlement solutions, it should not be as high as what you've been paying traditionally. Definitely, there should be a significant difference in it. But again, you can feel free to call. We'd be happy to connect you to the right solution at Island Pay. And then two, keep in mind for those persons in business who are looking at digital merchant solutions, your transaction volumes are also going to greatly impact the rate you get, right? If you're transacting significant volumes, then obviously you have the ability to negotiate rates. But I will say this, at the outset, if you're changing from the traditional settlement means to digital, you should see savings. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. So are we there? We know there are, with all these smartphones, people are doing tap and pay. Are we there at this point in the Bahamas? Is that likely to come anytime soon?
Tap and pay features exist, albeit it doesn't permeate the entire payment system. I have a tap and pay card in my wallet, and I can go to one store and they'll say, oh, you can tap and pay. I tap and pay. I'll go to another store. They say, oh, that feature is not working on our machine. So it's here. It's not as robust as we'd like it. Again, this is a part of education. And when we think about and speak about education, we must also not forget that merchants also need to be educated on how these new systems work. Because I often say to people, we can have an extraordinarily educated consumer base, but if the merchants are not keeping up with the changes and adapting to provide these solutions to consumers, then you have this gap continues to grow. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to make sure that happens.
Yeah, and that's coming with smartphones as well, where you can use your phone.
It's all QR code based. And so, you scan and go. I mean, I go to places with my cell phone. I open my app up, scan it, just like how they scan at the register, and I'm gone. But that's not the case in in many of the merchant in places we go today. It's a slow progression. I used the illustration the other day. Last year, we settled over $100 million in the Bahamas in payments, right? Now, that may be to some a huge number. It may not be to others. But in an environment where adoption has been slow and as little as it is, that's a lot. That's huge, right? It means then that Bahamians, by and large, are slowly toward that. And that's a good sign, because at the end of the day, remember, the Bahamas needs to be put into a space where it can actually function domestically and function internationally. The tools that we need to put in place will enable Bahamians to go and do these things and to participate in commerce and trade all over the world. I told someone last week, they went to the airport and they bought a prepaid card at the airport, an Island Pay card, MasterCard. And they said, well, okay, so can I take this card with me? And I said, by all means. I said, you can load it up, take it, put $500 on it, and wherever you're going, you can shop with it, right? 35 million places around the world. Now, did he have a debit card in his pocket? He says, yes. He says, but then I heard that using your card, it cost me less money in transaction fees. And I said, well, there you go. So he's experiencing that. We are able to say to the consumer that when you go, the MasterCard, the prepaid MasterCard that you are buying is not NAD-centric. Keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. It is not a NAD card, or to be only used at NAD. You can use that card wherever you go as long as you have money on it, right? And so that's a financial instrument that we put in the hands of the average traveler who doesn't even have a credit card to pay for his luggage, to pay for his overweight or whatever else he has to pay at the airport. And so the airlines who've been cashless for years now, our traveling Bahamian population is pretty significant. So even there, they've adapted. Now we're saying you can now have your own tool in your own hands. So when you do go to the airport, as a matter of fact, you don't even have to wait to go to the airport. If you're going to be traveling, you can go to any one of our kiosks. at Quality Home Center in Southwest. You can go to CBS at those locations. You can go to, we have a kiosk at Bahama in their associate lounge. They have access to it. You can go to Quality East. You can go to the stadium. You can go to East. You can go to several places around town and buy your card before you even go to the airport, because as you know, when you go to the airport, check-in time is precious. Mm-hmm. So the beauty of it is you don't have to, you can be John and Susie Q. Bahamian, go to the kiosk, buy a card, and off you go. No stress, no headache.
I use it I have a Island Pay card, and I use it as a safety measure as well.
It is a huge safety card to use.
For sometimes I have issues about ordering online. Mm-hmm. And so I figure if I'm going to order online, I would just transfer sufficient money to this card to order. So just in case something happens, only a certain amount of money will be lost, as opposed to using my card where there, more credit is on, or I definitely wouldn't use a debit card online. Then you end in problems.
We use ours for shopping online as well, and for two reasons, as you said. It's less exposure to if someone decides to, try to hack somebody's system, and it also control of my Island Pay card in my phone, in my hand. Mm-hmm. If something were to go wrong, I can open my app and turn the card off, period. I don't have to call anybody else, right? I don't have to call MasterCard. I don't have to call Island Pay. I could turn my card off right now in my app. So rather than exposing my credit card or my other cards, I use my Island Pay card to shop wherever I go. I buy airline tickets. I shop at Macy's. I shop, and by the way, an Island Pay MasterCard has no jurisdictional issues. Like some other credit cards, they tell you if your credit card originates in the Bahamas, you can't use it. It doesn't apply to our cards. Our cards are accepted anywhere, anytime, and that's one of the reasons why people are adopting. We have over 40,000 Bahamians using our tools right now, today. And Palm is just one of them.
Yeah.
And she's had no issues using it either.
No, I didn't. Like I said, to me, it's a safety measure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you
and by the way, Pam, just clarity, the card you're using is the Island Pay MasterCard that's reloadable. So you can constantly put funds on that.
Yeah.
When you go to the airport or when you go to our kiosk to buy a card and you buy a card for $300 or $400 or $500, that's when you get to zero, you're done. Some people love the convenience of that because they don't want the headache of doing it the other way around. But the beauty of having the reloadable card is once you get that, and by the way, you paid $10 for your card. I wouldn't begin to tell you what I paid for my recent card at the bank.
Wow.
Hey, $10, right? And no monthly fees, no maintenance fees. The only time you pay for that card is when you lose it. You pay another $10 and you get your card reinstated. There are no fees, and she's on the phone. She's on the call. She can tell you she has not received 1 penny in monthly or maintenance fees since she got her card.
People asking
we're
about
already putting money back in her pocket.
interest. Is there any interest? Anything like that happening?
There's a lot of paying interest.
Yeah. You say, well, there are no fees, so I guess that's the answer right there. Then,
it is a part of the progression. This is evolving, right? And I do know that we are going to get to that point. But I also say this: some of the other partners that will be announced soon, right here in the Bahamas, that we are working with, where if you don't get interest, you are going to get meaningful points. When we announce our partnerships with several major brands here in the Bahamas in the coming weeks, you will see there's a huge benefit every time. In fact, we had our cashback shopping bonanza for Christmas, right? And many Bahamians won back 100% of the monies they spent. So we're already looking into how we can incentivize consumers, how we can reward consumers. It's just a part of the evolution.
Also, I didn't check, but I know with my bank, when you make a purchase overseas, they charge you 3% on that purchase. So 1% is government stamp tax, and then 1.5% is conversion from B dollar to US, and then they charge VAT on all of that. Is those fees similar for Island Pay?
Some of those fees run up to 5% on your traditional transactions.
I think that's very expensive. That's why I need something where I don't need to use my bank card to do these stuff, and I don't go on the other side.
I can proudly say whatever it is that you're paying today on those other means, ours is at the start is half that.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Okay?
So
again, see, you talked about the consumer and his ability. The reality of it is we're providing these tools not to just be accessible, but it's costing you less money to use it.
Yeah.
And you're a good testimony of that. You've not received any fees, not of any kind. And so, and it didn't matter where you go. You go to New York, you can go to Atlanta, you can go to Europe. You can still use the same card. We have parents who who've been in college money, right? Using the card. Right. We have the other day we had a family who was traveling for New Year's, and the gentleman called and says, "Listen, I need to buy. We have 3 children to go into Orlando for the New Year," and he had 3 children. He bought each of them a $200 card. He says, "Now you guys can spend it however you want it. It's up to you. Go for broke." Well, you can't go for broke. You're zero, right? But the point is, what he was doing was he was making it easy for his children, for him and his children, but he was also teaching his children how to use these tools today. And they were teenagers. The youngest one was 12. And they went and they spent their money. Their parents gave them $200 and said, "You spend it however you see fit." There you go. So what are they doing? They're teaching, they're introducing their children to these means. Now, you might say, well, what happened to the parent who doesn't have the kind of disposable income to do that? It doesn't mean, however, that they can't learn or can't teach their children, though. That's the beauty of it.
Great stuff. All right, so
you couldn't do that with your traditional means.
We got about a minute left, Jeff. Tell us how people are asking. A lot of people are asking, how do they sign up? What do they need to do to get on board with Island Pay?
3 simple steps. One, you can go to your favorite app store, either Google or Apple, and search Island Pay and download the app. It literally takes about a minute to download, and you upload your NIB card and your either passport or driver's license, and it takes 24 hours to get your account authenticated. If you do not wish to have a reloadable card, which we would highly suggest, if you simply want access to the prepaid card, you need nothing else other than a cell phone number. Go to the kiosk, decide on how much you want to load on a card. You put your money in, you get your card at the bottom of the machine, and off you go. We do strongly encourage Bahamians to get the reloadable card in the wallet, because there's a virtual card in the wallet that comes standard, and then you can apply for the plastic card, which takes about 9 days to get here, with your name on it, typical, the whole 9 yards, tap and pay, chip and pin, fully secure. So go to your app store, look for Island Pay, download the app, and if you want additional assistance, send us a note at support@islandpay.com, and we are on you in 24 hours or less. We're happy to have you. When you go to the airport, you can go to the kiosk. It's easy. Touch the screen, select purchase a card, select the amount, put your phone number in, buy your card, put your money in, and your card comes out, and off you go. It's very easy, cost-effective, and a safe way to have the ability to have this tool in your hand.
Okay. Jeffrey Beckles, Island Pay, thank you so much. Always a great time talking with you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you both, and thank you, Pam, for being a good ambassador for a quality product that you're enjoying.
Thank you. Do I get my check in the mail? Or my bill in the mail?
Don't forget, the governor doesn't want us running.
Right. Cashless. Put some money on her account.
I think with all these contracts flying about, I mean.
Boy, listen, get while you're getting good.
Senator Cashless. Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much.
We're going to be back with more Morning Blend Business after this break. Stay with us.
This traffic report is brought to you by Shield Insurance and Prudential Law Adjusters.
Final look at traffic this morning. We still got a lot of heavy traffic delays happening throughout the island. Southwest gateways are still loaded, even though there has been some assistance for Samalabala Highway, and a number of folks have gotten out of there, but it's ever so slowly. They've got Samalabala dual lanes gradually getting out, while Torrance Million Darling westbound lanes is in a stop-and-go situation, allowing some of that Samalabala traffic to get on out of there. But Gladstone Road, still loaded with traffic, still working on getting out of there. And the same thing is happening at Carmichael Road exit onto Blue Hood Road. Getting to the traffic light there, slow process, but they're gradually getting out. Blue Hood Road sped up somewhat, but you get to slow down when you get on top of the hill to get into the Torrance Million Darling roundabout. And that's also too, with traffic trying to get through the roundabout on the west lane into Blue Hill Road, and the roundabout on the east lanes going into that East Street roundabout. Interesting how Marathon Road northbound traffic not as loaded as I expected, but boy, they are certainly on Soldier Road, still working on getting through that Wolf Road traffic light, so you're in a stop and go line there at the Wolf Road intersection. Also being slowed down by the traffic that's coming off of Bernard Road, attempting to get through that same intersection. And the Eastern Road traffic is still in a waiting line. This late after 9 o'clock, still got heavy traffic throws along that route, trying to get out on Shirley Street. Over on the west side, some of the traffic on West Bay Street has picked up, but you still have more of an active ride rather than a slow ride coming in along West Bay Street to get into the city. 6-leg roundabout, it's slow getting through there as well. From JFK side, from the New Providence Avenue side, and what's coming from through the Sports Center. It's just very slow, but once you get out of the 6-leg roundabout, moving along Farrington Road and University Drive is not bad. This National Traffic Report is a service of Dr. Danny Johnson and Associates at Foot and Ankle International, who's offering the simplest and safest treatment for foot injuries. They're located at Deanston on top of the hill at Fort Charlotte. You can call them at 322-5. Gotta look at traffic in real time and VANN.
Michael was in a horrible car accident. Prudential Loss Adjusters managed his claim and got him the settlement he deserved. Sierra's roof received hurricane damage. Thanks to Prudential, she and her kids are happy with their claim settlement. Tammy fractured her ankle in a slip and fall. Prudential saved her time, money, and peace of mind. Prudential Loss Adjusters are here for you whenever a tragedy strikes. Call 322-4026 now.
Protect the things that really matter to you. Shield Insurance is the insurance company that grows with you to meet your insurance needs through this beautiful adventure we call life. From automobile to home to life and health, boat, liability, construction, and business insurance, Shield has affordable policies, flexible options, friendly service, and the expertise to protect your hard-earned assets. Shield Insurance agents and brokers in Nassau, call 356-7202 or Freeport 352-5945.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Save and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
The Water and Sewage Corporation advises the public, its customers, and residents of Taylor Street, Nassau Village, that the corporation will commence improvement work on January 31st, 2022 for a period of 10 weeks. During this period, there may be interruption in water supply, road closures, and detours around the work area. Where possible, motorists are asked to avoid the area between the hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily. The corporation apologizes for any inconvenience caused and appreciates your patience as they work to improve their level of service.
We believe in relationship banking. We take pride in getting to know our clients, approachable ambassadors, and financial coaches so that we can recommend the best product for you. At Fidelity, we care about you. From your financial health to your physical health, we can relate to you because we're just like you. Come and start your relationship banking experience with us today. Visit us online at fidelitygroup.com. Visit any of our branches in Nassau or Grand Bahama, or phone 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 for Freeport.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. Bahamian authorities seized 2 of Crystal Cruises' ships and waters off Freeport. That's according to Acting Port Controller Lieutenant Commander Bernie Wright. He told Guardian Business this. It happened on Friday after a Florida court ordered the arrest of the company's vessels when the company was sued by its fuel supplier over unpaid fuel bills last month. The litigation began after it was announced in early January that Crystal's parent company, Genting Hong Kong, went bankrupt. Wright saying the 2 ships were arrested around 9 p.m. on Friday after authorities received a writ of summons from the Supreme Court of the Bahamas to seize the vessels. He said the vessels were seized through a joint effort between the Port Department, the Office of the Attorney General, and the Bahamas Maritime Authority, adding that the Port Department's Deputy Marshal in Freeport spearheaded the seizure of the ships. According to Wright, in the Bahamas, Minister of Transport and Housing JoBeth Colby Davis also confirmed the seizure, comparing the collaboration between the U.S. and Bahamian authorities to extradition requests. Wright says the action is not new to the Port Department and explained that Bahamian authorities have 2 other ships not related to this incident arrested in Freeport. Royal Caribbean Group is expecting occupancy levels this year to reach close to pre-pandemic levels. That's according to the company's president and CEO, Jason Liberty. Speaking in Royal Caribbean's 2021 financial results report, Liberty says that while the COVID-19 Omicron variant created short-term operational challenges for the company, he expects 2022 to be a strong transitional year as the company brings the rest of its ships back into operation. And Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Philip Davis has reaffirmed his administration's confidence in meeting its medium-term revenue projects, noting recent comments from credit rating agency Moody's that the government's assumptions about revenue growth may be overly optimistic. The government revealed in its budgetary performance report on the first 6 months of the fiscal year that revenues have outpaced projections by approximately $162 million. And the Bahamas Maritime Authority receiving top marks across 19 categories in the just-released International Chamber of Shipping 2020-2021 Flag State Performance Table. The performance table, which is compiled each year in order to encourage ship owners and operators to examine whether a flag state has sufficient substance before using it, considers 7 critical categories of data, including port state control, ratification of major international maritime treaties, the use of recognized organizations, the age of the fleet, reporting requirements, attendance at International Maritime Organization meetings, and IMO members. The EMA received positive performance reviews. In your market watch recapping trading on the BISX from Friday, your market movers Consolidated Water moving 702 shares, closing unchanged at 198. Emira Incorporated closing unchanged at 1160. The BISX All Share Index closing at 2,195.12, unchanged. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And tune in tonight at 6:30 p.m. for CFAL Talks right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. And Pam, hey, we're out of time. That's going to do it for us this morning. Interesting stories there about Crystal Cruises. They're having some major challenges, but pick up today's Nassau Guardian, the Guardian Business section to read more about that. Always a pleasure, Pam.
Thank you, Dwight, and have a blessed week, Bahamas.
I'll see you next week, and I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, have a great day. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.